Enchanté, race fans, and welcome along everybody back again for your Saturday evening serving of speed, spectacle, and strategy. It is, of course, the EA Sports F1 Creator Series Season X. We have powered past the halfway point of the campaign, and it kicked off with a golden run of Alex Gillen wins. But in recent weeks, his grip on the grand prize has loosened ever so slightly, thanks to wins from Razin, GB, and Kareem 1 week ago. All of them delivering moments of magic, staking their claim for the Creator Series crown. And we're better for the next stanza of the scintillating saga than the Spa-Francorchamps circuit for the Belgian Grand Prix. The last time we were here, a wild card of simulation damage. That one was seized by GB with Razin and Gillen completing the podium. And we repeat the wild card trick this time around, but it is realistic car performance. The ultimate leveler, a shake-up that swaps the speedsters into the slow machinery and the underdogs unshackled, upgraded into the fastest cars on the grid. It should be an absolute stormer. And speaking of stormers, well, my commentary duo are very much that. Help me along the way. I'm Tom Wilkinson. We have got Kieran McGinley returning for the first time in a couple of weeks, and for the very first time in Season X on F1 25, George Morgan is back, everybody. Let's get a round of applause for our brilliant duo. I'm going to start off with you, Kieran, just because we have seen you a couple of times so far this season. I want to talk about last week as well, because for the very first time on F1 25, we saw Formula Kareem. We haven't seen him too much so far in this game. He's been a little bit uncomfortable at times, but 1 week ago in Bahrain, he was absolutely superb.
I mean, he showed those flashes of brilliance as well at Austria as well, don't forget. And he started this season, I believe, with some hardware issues that he had to switch over to a controller halfway through the race. So he's had a bit of a tumultuous time, but yeah, the gears are starting to turn. Everything's starting to gel together for Kareem, and he's starting to mount that championship challenge. And of course, as you said, Alex Gillen with not so many top step finishes, but still some respectable results, still mean he's at the top, but that gap is coming down. What he'll need to do this weekend is take advantage of the sprints and of the Grand Prix this weekend, although albeit with a little bit of a twist in the tail.
100%. Many twists in the tail, especially around a circuit like this. Alex Gillen, of course, started the season with 3 straight wins, but a best result of second since. Hasn't actually finished lower than 4th so far this season. And George, welcome back. I'm sure everybody is absolutely delighted to see you. From what you've seen so far in F1 25, obviously the game mechanics are very different, the game physics are very different. Dirty Air exists for the first time in about 10 years. What impact do you think it has had on the racing we've seen and the battles we've seen, and also potentially the performance levels of a couple of the drivers?
It's not quite so simple anymore, Tom. I would say, in making your way around the track, certainly nowadays on F1 25. We've been hearing it from the mainstay esports pros as well, including the likes of Jana Watmir, who made quite a fuss about it on social media, arguably for good reason. Obviously, these drivers are trying to find the best way around the track, and that's no different for our Creator Series talents here on the EA Sports F1 25 game. We'll have to wait and see who's going to come out on top. Alex Gillen, of course, who's been there and done it before, also many times a former race winner. But we've got some other names now starting to enter the fray. You'd be absolutely, should we say, it'd be ridiculous counting out the likes of Formula Kareem, who's obviously had a bit of a name change lately, Kareem 7T. But also on the other account, you know, you've got the likes of Tiamat Marek as well, obviously long-term rivals. I think we're going to be seeing yet more runners come in and break into the Furore now, especially during a very, very high variable Spa weekend where you're going to have all sorts of opportunities for overtaking. Whereas before we might have witnessed circuits where overtaking might have been a challenge, I think that'll be different tonight at Spa.
100%. And of course, we do have a slight change to the format. Sprint weekend is back. We will have a 50% sprint race. Then we go over to our normal standard short qualifying session. That is 18 minutes. And then into the 100% race. Kieran, do you think that'll potentially affect the way people approach the weekend? Maybe going into the sprint knowing they've not got too much to lose. It will be reverse championship order as well. So potential for some of the drivers at the back, if they can be really aggressive but very precise as well, they can really force their way through.
They could, and hopefully we don't see what happened in the earlier sprint race in Formula 1, where everyone's just a little bit too hesitant to actually do anything because they'll lose a load of points rather than just gain the one. So hopefully we see those hard charges from the back, but it's also a great opportunity for those not normally at the top of the order, have realistic cars, get in the McLaren and see what they can do. I'm thoroughly looking forward to seeing what this whole weekend, quote unquote, has in store for us.
And finally, just before we go into the standings, George, I've got to ask you about this circuit. Spa-Francorchamps, arguably the most famous in motorsport. Incredible to drive, was obviously updated on the previous game in F1 24, brought much further or much closer in line with what we will see in real life. What do you expect from the drivers going into this from a strategy perspective, but also how hard do you think they can race, considering we do have the dirty air, which could have quite an impact?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen certainly for various drivers that the management of the tyres has been a true test. We saw it at Interlagos in PSGL not too long ago as well. I think tonight the drivers are going to face added scrutiny. It's not as simple as just banding on a medium tyre for say 16. Well, should we say probably more like 10 laps remaining in a race now. Obviously, the hard tyre, the better race tyre. It certainly seems to still be the case from our last game. When, of course, we raced on F1 24. So I certainly think that we're going to be seeing a lot of hard tyre usage through the race. That is obviously not a question. And I think, obviously, at the same time, with Spa, it's just simply iconic. I've been there many times. I've had the opportunity to commentate in real life at that circuit, and also on top of that in the virtual world, as you all know. It is just a fantastic track that will offer plenty in not just the sprint race, but also qualifying and the race itself. You're in for a feast tonight, everybody.
100%. People looking to be masters of the circuit, but if you want to know how to master it, Sim Racing Setups have got you covered. If you can head over to their website, you can use the code CS at checkout. That will give you 10% off, but they've also given us a lovely hot lap to digest. So if you want to know the fastest way around the Spa-Francorchamps circuit, take it away now.
So here we are for a hot lap of the Belgian Grand Prix in Spa, courtesy of Sim Racing Setups. Heading down into turn 1, you want to brake at the 100-meter board, late apex, get on the power super early. This corner exit is critical for your Sector 1 lap time. It basically makes up the entire first sector. Heading down into the Eau Rouge and Radion section, straight line this chicane as much as you can, mount the curves without getting any track limits. There's definitely a few thousands to be saved by doing that. Open the DRS here for the Camel Straight. We're now sizing up the Lacombe chicane, turns 7, 8, and 9. Brake at the 100-meter board, fling the car in over the curves without getting done for track limits. Back over to the left, so you go flat out for this final right-hander. Don't use too much curb on exit, and that is a pretty clean run. Braking at the surface change for this next right-hander. Third gear, short shift to fourth, get over to the right-hand side, keep a stable platform. It's really easy to lose the back end or lose the lap with track limits at this section of the track. Heading into Pouhon, this is flat out, 7th gear. Going to be pretty tricky to do that in the race with some dirty air, but give it a go if you like. Heading into turn 13 and 14. Brake at the ripple strip starting on the left-hand side. Try and hug these inside apexes as much as you can without bottoming out on exit. Brake at the ripple strip starting on the left-hand side. Use up all the track space on the left-hand side. And now we can finally relax. Heading into Blanchimont. Again, another flat-out corner. You want to make this corner as straight as you possibly can. Be super smooth on the steering wheel. Minimize the distance traveled on the final run into the bus stop chicane. Braking at the 100-meter board. Tip it in, mount the curb as much as you can. Get over to the right so you can get on the power as much as you can on the final exit. Open the DRS, and that is a hot lap of the Belgian Grand Prix.
Well, that is how you navigate the circuit. Let's try and navigate the standings, though. Alex Gillen, like we said before, with a lead in the championship, 24 points ahead of the reigning champion, Kareem 17. But, Kieran, if you look at that top 4, they have started to move away from the pack behind. Would you say that, I know we're only 8 rounds in, this is round number 8, we have still got quite a long way to go. Are they the main 4 perennial contenders?
I think you're looking at your protagonists here. I think as well Formula Kai could be an outside chance. There's been a couple of occasions this season. I mean, I was there at Austria when unfortunately he lost it on the final lap and lost a huge chunk of points that could have put him right up there in this fight. We'll see what he can do to sort of recover as we go on. But yeah, it's going to be tough to beat Gillen. Karim's now in form. We've got GB getting a victory, victory at Austria. Razin as well getting the victory last time out. So I mean, it's a really congested and tight grid at the top, and what Alex will be hoping is if he doesn't get the win, that someone different can finish in front of him every single week and try and Verstappen it towards the end if he needs to. He's got a healthy-ish lead at the moment, but as we've seen over the last couple of weeks, that can come down at quite a rate if you're not careful.
Definitely hoping other drivers will take points off each other. Tim Malik as well, coming into some form realistically for the first time on this game cycle, was strong at Bahrain despite being flattered maybe a little bit by some fuel, lower fuel. Constructors' Championship, We've really got 4 teams batting it out. Ferrari have been a little bit up and down, even though they've got a good driver lineup of Marakian and Fratic. It's Red Bull that have taken over at the top with Gwatz and Kareem 70. Obviously, Kareem winning a week ago after retiring 2 weeks ago in Miami. McLaren still very strong, but Alpine started the season slightly sluggishly with that double world champion pairing of Tom Bean and Razin Chai. But in recent weeks, in particular Razin, they have come on leaps and bounds.
They have, and Alpine with 2 drivers in the top 10 in the driver's standings. The only team that have that as well is Ferrari. So they've got a good, strong driver lineup. Red Bull and McLaren here are being, you've got one driver getting a lot of the points in this stage, so that could come back to bite you, especially if Alpine and Ferrari, their drivers really get in some good grain of form. They finish up high up the order, as we've already said. Those are some strong driver lineups. Razin Chai and Tom in his final season in Creative Series as a full-time driver, he'll be wanting to sign off with at least a constructors victory. And right now Alpine are only 15 points off the top, so it's very good, it's very congested at the top, and it's exactly what we like to see at this point in the season.
Can't discount Aston Martin as well. Former 2-time Constructors champions. GB had a little bit of a wobble last week, wasn't his best weekend, and Vince hasn't quite hit the heights that he did at the end of F1 24, but they are a serious pairing. I do just want to touch on Razin Chai again, though, because he started the season, first 3 rounds, best finish of 8th place. Since then, he's only finished off the podium once. Looking at that, George, with Alex Gillen, he's had 2 podiums in his last 4 races. Kareem's had a couple of wins, but he's also had a couple of dodgy rounds. Would you look at Razin Chai increasing in confidence, increasing in ability on this game as well, and comfort and acclimatisation to this handling model? Do you think he goes into the second half of the season as Alex Gillen's main challenger?
Only if his line is still allowed to be turned on. At the moment, to be honest, T-Dub. I know there's been a lot of controversy around that in the drivers' Discord as of late. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think obviously Razin is a former champion, has been part of a massive run at Alpine in terms of winning titles in the EA Sports F1 Creator Series. There are many candidates. I mean, I want to study the immense growth of Formula Kai, really, who has really started to come into his own over recent seasons. Of course, we know that he is very involved as well in sim racing in the league level, obviously very competitive as well. And if you compare him to where he was a year or a year and a half ago, I think this game has been incredibly kind to him. So I don't think it's just simply Razin Chai who's the outright threat. I think even though he is one of them, I think obviously you can couple up Formula Kai, and I would never count out Tiamat Marduk either, because obviously on his best day, he's a 2-time champion in his own right. I still look back to the grand finale at Season 6 where, he'd already taken down Alex Gillen. It was between him and, of course, M-Sky Z, who had a sensational run that campaign. And it ended in one of the biggest, controversial, but at the same time, just cinematically brilliant finales that we had at Paul Ricard, and I'm sure we'll see a lot more of it as well. So yeah, there's many candidates down there. Razin Chai, though, definitely one of them.
And I just want to ask Kieran about the situation Alex Gillen finds himself in. It's often said that being the chaser is easier than being chased down. From his position, he's seen his lead just whittled away in the recent weeks. Started off with 3 consecutive wins. Hasn't quite hit the heights. Hasn't quite had the pace that he showed us in those first 3 rounds. How confident do you think he'll be going into the back end of the season? And how much do you think he's got to play with? How much margin for error does Alex Gillen have?
I think, like we've seen with Verstappen, he's done the hard work early on in the season now. And if everybody has started to catch up to him, get more familiar with the game and the handling model and all that goodness, what he needs now is just to put in his best performances. Even if it's not a win, it's a 2nd place and a 3rd place, he'll be looking to see that a different person finishes in front of him week after week. If that keeps happening, then the balances and the gaps should about, go in favour of Alex Gillen. Never count him out. He's a seasoned pro and has been for a long, long time. I don't think he's panicking. I don't think he's under pressure. I think he knows exactly what he needs to do. The gap is healthy enough coming into this weekend here at Belgium. We'll see what it's like heading out of it.
Absolutely. And considering that he said he will be missing one more race this season as well, just leaves an element of doubt perhaps in his head. We have got some reservists coming in as well. A couple of them you'll be very familiar with. One of them making their debut. And if you're watching the iRacing Creator Series, you have been for the last couple of weeks, Matt212 is in for Adam Sanderson at Mercedes. He is going to be an interesting one. Has some really strong pace in the iRacing. F1 Alex returns. He will be driving for McLaren. No, he won't actually. That's Nick Flies who confirmed slightly late. So ignore that. But coming in, we definitely have the Season 1 champion in Safso, and Tom 97 returns as well. Tom 97, we saw him at Baku, had some good pace. I think that's fair. Wasn't quite the level we've seen in previous games, where I think it's fair to say he has been outright the fastest driver, just has struggled maybe to piece the weekend together and come up with the result he deserves. How much for spanner, George, do you think Tom 97 could be in this ever-emerging and ever-developing championship fight?
Absolutely massive, I think, right now, Tom. Only on the basis that is of course, he is a previous race winner here at Spa as well in the EA Sports F1 Creator Series. Go back a couple of seasons ago, in fact, season 7 in actuality. So relatively soon. Obviously, it's a different game now, so you never know. Things can obviously change. But if you've got prior form and you've got talent, then you have a very, very good chance. We know that Tom 97 has it in spades. May not be competing in the higher tiers in other league championships like he was in the past, but that's simply, in my view, just the very fact that the game itself has broadened. More and more drivers are getting involved in league racing. I know that the sign-ups have been very, very positive. So whilst Tom may have declined in certainly the tier level that he's in, I don't think his raw ability and pace has changed that much. I think he is still going to be red hot here in the Creator Series and against some of these vibrant talents. I certainly think he's going to give Alex Gillen a hard time tonight.
I think we'll be very happy about that. The same with Tim McMark as well, who, if he can possibly find a way to make Alex Gillen's life just that little bit harder, he will certainly go down that route. We're not quite in to our 50% sprint race just yet. So I'm going to ask for some predictions. That's very interesting because normally predictions go down the pan very, very quickly. George, I'll kick off with you. Who are you backing for the sprint? Who are you backing for quali? And who are you backing for the race win?
Ooh, I think for the sprint, you've got to go somewhere down the middle, haven't you, in terms of where they're starting on the grid, etc. Because obviously we do factor in the reverse essences, and also at the same time they're using realistic performance cars as well. There are so many to choose from. I think in an ideal scenario, I'm gonna hedge my bets and probably go with that guy Vince. I think just on the encompassment that I think he is consistent, has always been knocking on the door of a really, really decent result. It hasn't often come for him, but I think just given his raw presence inside the top 10 generally, I think it only takes a little bit extra and he could very easily land himself a decent race victory tonight, in the sprint anyway.
And then Kieran, who are you backing? We'll move on to quali in the race. Who do you think has got that outright performance?
I was going to say, you let George get out of the quali in the race prediction pretty easily there, but there we go. No, okay, sprint first then.
There's the fence. There's me.
Yeah. Professional fence.
Splinters.
We love it. I'm probably going to go Hayden Gullis in the Red Bull, starting from 8th place in the... I know. But hear me out. He's in the Red Bull. He's in 8th place. I mean, he started off this season as one of the cleanest drivers ever. But I reckon if he's in 8th place and he's got that carrot dangling in front of him, he's going to go for that win. I know it. Please don't let me down, Hayden. Please don't let me down. We shall see.
It's a question of whether Hayden's more interested in getting good results or more interested in getting the cleanest driver award, which he hasn't actually got for the last couple of weeks. Started off, I think, with a hat-trick of cleanest driver awards. We were saying that it was absolutely rigged. How can Hayden Gullis be determined as the cleanest driver? And now I think he's balanced out. We've seen equilibrium take place, and he isn't getting that as much. I'm going to stick my neck on the line. Just looking at the grid, I'm thinking somebody that's starting in the midfield like you guys are talking about. Lolin Ober's had flashes of performance that we saw at the end of F1 24 when he was arguably one of the quickest drivers. Hasn't quite showed that this season. He's in the Ferrari, though. That's going to be a serious competitor. And Gwatz as well. This is a track that I've raced him around this circuit. He's pretty damn decent around this configuration track. In the Mercedes as well. I think he's someone that you definitely need to keep your eye on. Everybody in the chat as well, just as we wait for things to get underway. I think there are maybe a few issues getting drivers into the game. Who are you backing? Give us 3 names. Sprint race, quali, and the 44-lap race that is going to take place. If we see some rain, though, could that potentially just trip a few people up? There is a balancing act that you need to go. We've seen it in real life with qualifying. Max Verstappen versus the McLarens. We've seen the balance of low downforce versus high downforce. George, how difficult is it to manage that?
Oh, it's very tricky. I think obviously I'm someone who suffers a lot where it comes to the rain, and trust me, like Racing Shai, I do tend to opt for the line when I'm in the wet conditions. But yeah, no, it is tricky. I mean, naturally, it comes down to sheer balance on how you measure out your braking points out on track. And at Spa, it's really difficult to measure as well because you do have that variance. It's not necessarily the case that you're going to have the same kind of corner each and every single time. And on one level, you're going to have an incline, and then you're going downhill all of a sudden as well. It's just simply a massive roller coaster circuit here at Spa. So again, it's going to be tough for the drivers to manage. Spa is known to be a little bit of a microclimate. Rain can come out of nowhere, so I'm expecting the dynamic conditions to certainly offer a little bit of a twist. No one really knows where they're going to stand coming out of the sprint race, and neither, and especially the race as well, because then you've got to look at your strategy, effectively potentially rip it up and start from scratch. So it's anybody's race on the day. So it's very tricky to hedge your bets, hence why me and Kieran are not going to be laying down our predictions on the line for quali and a full race just yet.
We may come back to you very, very shortly though on that one, just to try and get you off the fence. We don't want anybody getting any splinters. Kieran, just to go back to the wildcard we've got, I think we've maybe underplayed it a little bit. Realistic performance for the cars that we've got. Still not a full lobby we're hearing, so we are going to continue this discussion. How do you think this first benefits the drivers that are low down going into cars that, say the driver's in the McLaren? I think that is the time trial car for this year, the McLaren, or the similar performance to the McLaren. So they'll be comfortable with that. And then the drivers further back, the Sauber can be difficult to drive. The Williams is difficult to drive. The Alpine as well. How much of a burden do you think it will be on those drivers?
Obviously, they're in slower cars, so this is going to make sure that it tries to balance the field as much as possible to get it to some sort of equilibrium. But this is where you're going to see maybe drivers in the Williams or the Aston Martin really push up towards the front as well. Because whilst they're limited by the car performance, the driver performance as well, they can really drag those cars up to where they don't belong. For example, don't be surprised to see Alex Gillen, knocking on the top 10 in at least qualifying. I mean, he's got the pace to do it. So even though he's in a Sauber, it's still a chance there. So this will show you how much the driver puts into the car. This will show you and show us all that driver talent around Spa-Francorchamps. What a circuit to do it around. It should bring the field right up close together. But it doesn't normally end up that way. What you normally get is your championship protagonists manage to drag their cars and almost drag their ballast all the way up the field to try and score those vital points. We'll see what happens. I'm very much looking forward to it.
Well, shall we get underway, everybody? The sprint is coming up very shortly. Reverse championship order. Let's have a look with your brilliant commentary duo. It is, of course, Kieran McGinley and George Morgan.
Well, here we are, folks. Starting grid to take us through the sprint race to open up proceedings here at Stavelot. Here's set in the Ardennes Forest. Back row, it's Matt 212 in his first appearance in the Creator Series, starting 20th. Alex Gillen in 19th for Kick Sauber. We move on up then to P18, where Karim 7T starts alongside GB68 on the 9th row of the grid. Then we move on up to Tom 97, back again inside, back at the track where he's won before. 15th place for Rasin Chai, a former champion looking to return to the top echelons of the championship. Formula Kai ever improving from 14th place. Tiermet Marduk, former champion twice over, in 13th spot as well. He's got a lot of memories with this man, Meraki. Of course, the two of them came together in a very controversial manner, leading to Meraki taking the title. Infratic would then start P11 alongside Meraki on the 6th row of the grid. We move on up then to P10, 5th row. It's Gwatz alongside Tom, Alpine's best friend, will be looking to rise up the order as well. We then head up into 8th place, and Hayden Gullis driving a Red Bull. Alongside him is that guy Vince, who is of course starting 7th on the grid. 6th place for Lolin Ober on his return with Safso, Aviators and all. PS1 Hagrid starts 5th place. Just in front of him on the 2nd row, we have Ricky 03 in a Ferrari. Alongside him, Scotty Designs, by the way, in 3rd. We then head up to the front row, and starting from 2nd, it's Nick Flies. And flying onwards will be Punju from the American continent. He starts on pole position ahead of the Spa-Francorchamps sprint race. So there we have it. That is the grid. All decided now. We've got all the cars lined up. Kieran, there's going to be some tentative nerves. As we all know, Spa has very trying corners and nothing more ruthless than La Source at the start of a race.
Yeah, always a first corner, straight down towards a hairpin. Very interesting setup. And then it leads you into Eau Rouge and Radion, which is just a fantastic set of corners. If you're the first car there, if you've got all that dirty air, becomes a little bit more tricky. You might have to lift there. You might lose a little bit of aero grip through there, which is not ideal considering Eau Rouge and Radion, you really need it. And then down the Kemmel Straight, it should give us 2-3 wide as we head away down in towards Les Combes and Malmedy for the first time. We'll see how the drivers play it. And of course, it is a sprint. You've got those drivers at the back of the grid who'll be looking to try and get those points right up at the front as soon as they can. We'll see how it all plays out. But I'm expecting, those battles in the midfield really heat up, get intense. And that's what the front runners will be hoping. Those in the McLaren, Punju and Nick Flies, will be looking to try and charge away in their McLarens as quickly and as rapidly as possible.
Yeah, let's hope there's no coming togethers, I think, between the front runners there at the front, because obviously that's going to bottleneck everything. It will leave basically a lucky dip as to who's going to come out of La Source in front. And of course, we've had many moments at the start of Spa races in the past, namely 98, of course, just prior to the new millennium. But yeah, looking forward to this. It's going to be a lot of fun. Obviously, let us know what your predictions are in the live chat, folks. That's what it's there for. Who's going to win the sprint race this time around? Obviously, Alex Gillen coming into this championship leader. Will that phase him a little bit, Kieran? I must say, multi-time race winner this season, 3 times in totality. That brings in a lot of momentum into races such as this. But it's been a little while since he's tasted victory now.
Yeah, but he's very consistent. You know, you never rule Alex Gillen out of any scenario when it comes to Creator Series. He knows how to get the performance just when those are fading. He's great at battery management. He's really good in those low-speed corners as well, and able to get the power down. So keep an eye on him in this race. Yes, he's in a Kick Sauber. Yes, he's starting P19. But I reckon there's a chance of him getting into the top 10 at some point here tonight. Maybe in the sprint, maybe even to qualify later on for the Grand Prix later on tonight. We'll wait and see. But yeah, Gwatz as well, I think Arton Wilkinson mentioned as one to watch as well. Yes, he's starting 10th place in a Mercedes and has shown some real good turn of pace in recent weeks. So he's definitely one to watch, see what he can do from the grid as well. And yeah, Vince and Lolinoba, again, starting from that third row of the grid. We'll see what they can do in their Ferrari and Aston Martin. I'm not getting over that PS1 Hagrid, George. That did slightly end me whilst you were going through the grid. I had to recover my composure, which was very difficult to do. But I did it, and we're all proud of me.
It's Creator Series law, unfortunately, there, Kieran. But yeah, looking ahead, obviously we've got some other runners to be wary of. Of course, we were speaking about Karim at the top of the show as well, 2-time race winner this season. But also we have got GB68, who has been there and done it. He's won races before. Really, his next step is pursuing a championship, is it not?
Surely, that's got to be the next step. And he's 30 points behind going into today's race. And we'll see what happens with him there, as I believe we're having a lobby restart. So ignore that. That's not going to happen. It's sort of a, what's it? An aborted start. That's it. Should be the yellow lights on the top.
Dress rehearsal.
Lights. Dress rehearsal. That's the one. That's the one. But yeah, you know, GB surely mounting in a position to mount that with only 30 points off the title, off the top spot at the moment. And where we've got the sprint and the Grand Prix this weekend, there's 2 chances to score points. We'll see what he can do from there. But he's in such great form recently, but so is Razin Chai. So really, it's a roll of the dice going into this weekend. And with such a wild card that sort of puts GB down the order and in a Haas, and it puts Razin in a Racing Bulls down the order, it's going to be one of those where who can recover the most points. And you feel like, well, Alex Gillen being at the top of the order, in a Sauber, at the back, has drawn the short straw because he is the championship leader at this stage.
Yeah, and on that bombshell, T-Dubs, you're back.
Hello. Slightly earlier, which usually means that something's gone wrong. And that's what's taken place. We're delighted. I think it's a Steam issue rather than a game issue or a skill issue for the drivers that did disconnect. So we will be taking just that little bit longer. So some more idle chit-chat for everybody. Let's have a look while we're here at what took place 7 days ago in Bahrain. We didn't have a wildcard that time around, and it was Kareem 17 that picked it up. It was very dramatic at the end, though. There was a big collision late on as Alex Gillen went bowling with about 5 laps to go. Took Razin Chai, took Tiamat Marduk with him. Formula Kai was the beneficiary of that, but he himself had contact with Tiamat Marduk earlier on in the Grand Prix. Kareem 17 performing the perfect one-stop, despite him disconnecting with about 15 laps to go. That saw his lead cut from about 14 seconds down to 8. Tiamat Marduk had disconnection issues. GB and Meraki crashed early on in the Grand Prix as well. There was so much action. We really couldn't keep up, and we were discussing some of the discography, I think is the best way to put it, for the Coldplay back catalogue. There were difficult races as well. Scotty Designs was involved in a few bumps and scrapes, as was Lolonova and Hayden Gullis, who tried the reverse entry drift into turn number 1 and found that is not the fastest way to approach the first corner in the heavy braking zone of the Bahrain Grand Prix circuit. But George, I think we should go back to Formula Kai, because at the end of last game, we saw his qualifying pace was absolutely outstanding. I think in season number 9, he had the second best average starting position behind Kareem 17. What we're now seeing is race pace, big check there, consistency as well. That was the biggest weakness, I think, with Formula Kai. Big check there as well.
Yeah, he's really starting to grow. I think when you compare to where he was at the start, and like I alluded to, obviously during the pre-show, whilst we were sort of building up to the sprint, obviously with Formula Kai, he does pack a huge amount of promise and a lot of prospect really in this series. And I do think it will come for him in due course, because we're seeing flashes of brilliance. I remember a Monaco race he was involved in, I think it was probably about a season or two ago, where he was an absolute monster out on track and doing a phenomenal job. Obviously just a few issues and a few errors do come his way from time to time, but if he can dress up and sort of sand off the rough edges of his performance, I think there's no question he could be up there fighting for big points or maybe even podiums in due course. You never know, maybe the odd race win. He's certainly well placed at the moment. I think coming into this season now, 5th in the championship table, and obviously just set in behind Rasin Chai. That's not a bad place to be, really, and ahead of Tiamat Marduk, and that is a mighty position to be in, ahead of a 2-time champion already who's been there and done it, and not forgetting, of course, Kai's got 2 podiums against his name, so he is achieving and hitting those goals.
It hasn't actually won a race yet in the Creator Series, so that's the first hurdle that he needs to try and get over. It could almost turn into a GB situation where it took so long to get that first victory, and now they're just starting to come so much easier. He picked up back-to-back wins, the reverse direction in Austria, and then Miami a couple of weeks ago, both of those going in the direction of GB. But you mentioned Tiamat Marduk, George. I'm going to move over to Kieran because, Ben, we've seen flashes, finished second in the season opener in Spain, but qualified down in P12. Qualifying's been the real issue for him, but there have also been maybe some racecraft problems that Ben has struggled with. Baku being the main one, sticking his teeth into Alex Gillen. He was stinking up the gaff with some of the moves, I can tell you that one. But in recent weeks, he's had a couple of 5th places in Miami and last week in Bahrain as well. His pace was very strong in Bahrain. Yes, he was slightly low on fuel and did run out as he came out of the final corner. But are we just starting to see Ben come back into the fray? Only 1 podium this season.
Yeah, but I think as well, the phrase comes to mind, form is temporary, class is permanent. I mean, Tiamat Marduk has proved twice over that he is capable of winning a championship. And let's be honest with him, he's in 6th place at the moment. Yes, he's got, nearly 70 points off of Alex Gillen. But if Alex is already going to miss at least 1 race, that's a potential, to grab some points there. There are some quick drivers ahead of Tiamat Marduk, though, in the championship. And if Ben wants to make that, a case in towards what is now the second half of the season, essentially, he's really going to have to try and get some race wins on the board. He needs to break that duck and see what he can do on there. And again, it's one of those scenarios where you're a fool if you write him off at any point. He's got the capability to just turn a race on its head. You mentioned Spain as well, where he tried to make a move on Alex Gillen, and it was all about the battery management, which Gillen won on that occasion. You mentioned about the fuel issues as well. Well, that just seems to be a classic Ben issue, where he likes to run really low on fuel, like dangerously low on fuel. That's just what he does. Sometimes it pays off, sometimes it doesn't. But I know for sure that he's got the pace, he's got the ability to get a race win and just pull it out. And it would be one of those scenarios where we just think, wow, yeah, that he deserved it that weekend, and just stopped talking. Everyone stopped talking about the negatives and started talking about the positives again.
Yeah, I think he was one of many drivers that were just hampered by the fact that we didn't see a safety car. So we underfueled, thinking there would be a safety car. We didn't get it. He had to do a lot of fuel saving late on. Then he had another run-in with Alex Gillen. They were, once again, unable to keep their hands off one another. But what's interesting with Ben is he's obviously one of the OGs of the Creator Series, has competed in every single season. From season 1 to season 9, he won a race in all of those seasons. Yet to do so in season 10, or season X as we are calling it so far. There haven't been too many signs that he's particularly close to getting that race win either. Obviously, Spain was the exception, where he was in second, had a really strong strategy, battled with Alex Gillen late on, but it was the McLaren driver that came up trumps on that occasion. We are getting ready to kick us off. There will be no formation lap, so George and Kieran will be slightly rushed to get everything sorted as the strategies and the fuel loads are determined. Let's just reverse back once again with the reverse championship order. George, what are you expecting from some of the drivers towards the back, and how much pressure do you think the drivers that are at the front, bear in mind they're in the quicker cars as well, will find themselves under in the opening couple of laps?
Yeah, I mean, you've got 2 different, lots of drivers on 2 different fronts, and much like it, the pressure is going to be different on both fronts as well. Obviously, the pressure is going to be on those drivers right at the back to try and gain those places in the early goings, and there's only going to be a reduced amount of time to be able to do that in, because we are going to be running a sprint format for the first race. Then, of course, you've got the should we say, quote-unquote, slower drivers who perhaps aren't as, high in the championship as others. So therefore, they're going to have to try and find their feet, relatively early on. They're going to be always conscious of what's going on behind them as well. And especially at Spa, those heavy braking zones, whilst, of course, we all know them to be so treacherous, they are more so when you sort of chuck in that narrative, maybe an odd driver will go for a big move up the inside. And as we say, we speak about Timothée Marduk and Alex Gillen. These are two drivers that have no fear in making late moves down the inside. I'm thinking back to Japan and the likes of Italy as well. If you remember the Ascari chicane incident that was highly controversial between Alex Gillen and Benjamin Daly. So, these are moments that can occur out on track with any driver on the grid. It happened to GB as well at Australia. I remember a couple of seasons or so ago. So naturally, these are all things that every single driver, whether you are the most experienced one, whether you are the fastest one, whether you are the weakest one, you are going to be feeling it right round this phenomenally long circuit, longest circuit we're going to be faced with on the calendar as well this season. So naturally, the tension is going to be very high. How do you handle that composure? I think we're really going to be separating the, should we say, the best from the best from the worst, really, going up through the first sector on the opening lap. We'll soon find out as to who has got the bottle, really, to make their way around Stavolo.
It'll be really interesting. Kieran, how do you think those drivers at the back of the grid in the slower cars will approach those first couple of laps? Because usually we see the likes of Alex Gillen, Formula Kareem 17 as he is now, Timothée Marduk as well. They are very adept at making their way through the slower traffic in the early stages. Now they've got a car disadvantage. What kind of a mentality change do you think they'll have? Do you think they'll maybe be a little bit more punchy, knowing that they haven't quite got the, or they're effectively on a level playing field now that we're trying to even things out with the car advantage being given to the drivers that aren't quite as competitive on a regular basis?
I mean, they're fast drivers and you're chucking them in slower cars. They're going to have the same mentality of they need to make moves quickly. I mean, if you're Kareem, he needs to make sure those moves are made. He needs to close in on Alex Gillen in the championship, and he needs to gain as many points on him as possible. And he technically does have a car, well, he doesn't have a car advantage because he's in a Sauber, but the point is, he's got the position advantage. He needs to make good use of that, especially in the sprint. In the same car as Alex Gillen, your championship rival, that's going to be tough for Karim. So this is an opportunity as well for GB in the Haas to try and make some moves up the order as well. I mean, what's going to happen? There might be chaos up ahead of them rather than behind them, because you've got those drivers who are maybe not necessarily familiar with battling up at the top very often. They're going to have to now lead the pack in towards La Source, which, again, chucking 20 cars towards a hairpin for the first corner is always going to be interesting. George mentioned Spa 98 comes to mind, but also 2012 comes to mind, and I believe 2018 comes to mind.
Yes.
So there's been many opportunities and many times in the past in Formula One where La Source has just been this sort of breeding ground for absolute carnage. And we're going there twice down in towards Turn 1 for the first time, both in the sprint and in the Grand Prix. Should be pretty interesting, but I reckon we'll see the instance higher up the field, which can then Constantina behind them. So the drivers at the back, the championship rivals, have to make sure they make it through La Source clean and make sure they've got the front wing stays on, essentially, and all four tyres stay on as well. They do that, half the battle's done. And then it's just making sure that they make the battles work with the ballast that they have to gain as many points as possible.
Absolutely. We are still having a few connection issues. Questions in the chat, if anybody has got them, just hand them out to us. How many debuts today? Just the one. It is Matt212 who has made appearances, a couple of appearances in the first two iRacing Craze Series events. If you missed those on Thursdays, make sure you check it out next week as well. They are a lot of fun to watch. We've got some great racing and some great action going on there. So get your questions in. If you've got any questions for myself, George or Kieran, or even Gareth Allen, if he wants to jump into a bit of a chat, get them in while we just wait for the mouse on the wheel to try and run that a little bit faster to make sure that we can get things up and running. I just want to talk about Alex Gillen as well, because obviously at the back of the grid, he's got that 24-point cushion in the championship, but if things go dramatically wrong, he could find himself with just 16 points of an advantage over Kareem 17. Will Alex, knowing that he's got that lead that he has to try and protect, will he play it any differently, or does he look at it going, I'm a seasoned competitor, I know how to win championships and races, I'm just going to go as I normally do, George?
Well, I mean, if he doesn't like it, I'm sure we'll hear about it on the Monday debrief anyway. But I mean, regardless, I think he's always one to watch, and it's not, it's not the first time we've seen, Alex Gillen under pressure. We've seen it countless times. I've mentioned the many comings together with Timothée Marduk as well. But there have been some great moments for Alex Gillen. We go back that he hasn't won a title since season 2. That was his last championship, and he's very keen to get his crown back. And I think there's no better time than now. He's in P1 at the moment in the title race, ahead of Karim, who is a phenomenal driver right now. But what we're currently seeing as well is the best form of Alex Gillen really being positioned right at the start of the championship. It's almost like Barry Burman syndrome that we get to see from PSGL, where he wins the first few races, then the rest of it tends to fall off throughout the course of the campaign, and then we start to see the other drivers start to make their way through to the fold. Very almost like it goes against the Andrea Kimi Antonelli kind of thing in Formula Regional a couple of seasons back, where he didn't win a race for the first half of the season, then it all of a sudden at Spa, funnily enough, all kicked into gear. So you do have to wonder whether Alex Gillen does have the moxie to carry this out till the end of the campaign. I appreciate there has been podiums, of course, in the second half. While they have been second places, there's also been a few frail moments as well. Round 7 wasn't easy for him, and neither, obviously with the point scored rounds that, of course, he had back at Miami. On top of that, we look back at Baku, where, that was an opportunity missed perhaps as well. You look at others, Karim 70, currently coming in the form of his life, apart from the DNF, obviously, at Miami himself. We've got to factor in as well GB68, who I think has got plenty more in his locker and in his back pocket. I think he's going to be a major threat for Alex Gillen, because obviously the recent 2 wins in his last 3 races, I think, have made a huge difference in his campaign, and that is why he's in third right now. Racing Chai, should he find and dig deep for that best form, I think he can certainly bring it. For Alex Gillen right now, the pressure is monumental. Starting from the back of the grid where he is as well, being the championship leader, there's only a small smattering of races left. This is actually a very reduced calendar in comparison to what we've had in the past as well. So the opportunities are very few and far between.
100%. Absolutely. Just seeing that the new wildcard is for us to try and fill for 4 hours, similar to what happened in 2021 when the heavens opened and we got 2 laps of racing, which was technically 1 lap of racing, shortest race in history. Questions, have we got them? Missed last week, current championship leader from Jake. It is Alex Gillen. He's got a 24-point advantage over Cream 70, who did win last week in Bahrain. Alex coming home in P4, which was his joint worst finish of the season. Tells you a little bit about the consistency from the Season 2 champion. GB will win. What are our predictions for the actual race tomorrow? Well, we're moving out of the virtual world and going into real world F1. That's a little bit scary for some of us. I'll kick us off. I think it's going to be an Oscar Piastri win.
I would agree. I would agree with that, to be honest, yeah. I've been tipping Piastri all season long. I've had people asking me on stream saying, who's going to win the Grand Prix this weekend? I said, Oscar Piastri is going to win this weekend. And I certainly don't think that's going to change. I think Lando Norris will be up there as well. I was actually pleasantly surprised by Max Verstappen today. Obviously, apologise to all of you if you haven't watched the sprint yet, but I thought he was very, very quick. And I must say, I think there's more in the locker there for Red Bull. Could give, McLaren a few headaches. Obviously, the championship pretty much is in McLaren's hands at the moment, and there's a lot for Red Bull and Verstappen to do. But, to sort of nitpick and try and take podium positions, wins in the sprint, taking vital points, points that, McLaren would prefer to have away from them, sent a little bit of a message to sort of say, listen, we're not on our back, we're still going. And we're going to give you, plenty of fights and plenty of battles right through to the end of the season. So, if anything, it's given me more of a resolute opinion that, Verstappen could grab, a brilliant podium this weekend in the Grand Prix.
Absolutely. So we're 2 for 2 on Oscar Piastri. Kieran, are you going to make it a full house?
That would be boring, wouldn't it? And I don't like doing boring, even though I probably think it will be Piastri. No, I'm gonna not boring. I'm gonna go outside of it. Max Verstappen at Spa is scary. He's scary quick whenever we go there. That's just a fact. He treats it as his second home, pretty much is, at Spa-Francorchamps. It's probably going to be his only home track going forward when Zandvoort drops off the calendar, unfortunately. He does so well there, but Leclerc, Hamilton's not got a hold of that Ferrari this weekend. Whatever the change they've made, it's not gelling with Hamilton, but it really is gelling with Leclerc. I could see him sneak some sort of victory, especially if the weather turns. It could always throw up a race. If the weather turns, Max Verstappen's right in the hat for the race victory. It
was a brake pressure issue, wasn't it? The new part that they put on Lewis Hamilton's car, like it was like the case that he went in a little bit too hard again, and it kind of pivoted the rear. I mean, all in all, I think it'd be a great weekend for Max Verstappen because, obviously, whilst we know and are aware of Red Bull's prominence in recent years, with their position in Formula One, if we have a look at the fledgling GT3 team that is coming through for Verstappen.com, they were winners in Gold Class in the Spa 24 Hour. So where better to, win a Grand Prix than at the very track where they would take a class victory in that Spa 24 Hour. So I think that would be massive for Max.
It would be cherry on top, wouldn't it? And
It
I
would.
think if there is the weather change, Max will be in a league of his own once again. He's great in the wet. If we knock off Silverstone, because that was such a weird weekend in general, they brought the skiddy wings to a track they knew it was going to rain. I don't know the thinking behind that one. In any case, if the weather does turn, could be Max territory. If it doesn't, I think it'll be Oscar who gets the victory. But hey, look, we made it 3 for 3. We're boring. Okay, come at us. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
I actually think the rain debate's quite an interesting one because obviously Verstappen is the best driver on the grid, but he is definitely the best driver in the rain. But we've seen so far, we saw it in Australia, we saw it at Silverstone as well. Those McLarens are so kind on those intermediate tyres in particular when they do start to overheat that even the brilliance of Max Verstappen does just struggle to keep them in check. Couple more things coming in. Chaz on YouTube, can Lando get 3 wins in a row? If you'd have asked me that 24 hours ago, I would have said no. I think he definitely can now because he managed to pull, 7/10 out of absolutely nowhere between Friday sprint qualifying and the qualifying session today. But I think it's a track that historically Lando hasn't done brilliantly at. I think that's fair enough to say. He's never stood on the podium. I think he's only got a best result of P6 potentially from last year in 2024 when that wasn't one of his best either. Other things coming in, is it 222 laps or is it full 44? We've got the sprint race first of all. I think that is going to be 11 laps. Then it will be 80-minute qualifying session and then the full 44 laps. The poll that's coming now, which reserve will get the most points? We'll hand this around between Matt212, Tom97 and Safso. George, who are you putting your money on?
Safso, come on. Do it for me, Safso.
I think that's a very solid shout.
My vote goes to Matt212. He's going to be a dark horse in this. I think we haven't seen him on Creator Series just yet, but I reckon debut. It's perfectly aligned. I think very good driver as well, very good endurance driver as well. Teams up with James Early on the occasion, then or the iRacing special event. So he knows what to do behind the wheel. So I think it could be a good Grand Prix for Matt212. The only problem is that he's starting right at the back, so it's going to be tough for him in the sprint. But hey, I've seen stranger things happen in Creator Series this season alone. 100%.
Just if you're new and you're trying to get involved in that poll, just to let you know the cars that the drivers are in, because of course we are running realistic performance. Matt212 will be driving the Racing Bulls. Tom97 will be in the Haas, and Safso will be in the Aston Martin. So just something for you to keep an eye on there. The Aston Martin, I think at this point in the game, is still the 5th fastest car. So don't compare too much the performance between real life and what is going on in the game. I think, though, we've got Gwatz, who is going to come in and have a nice little natter with us, just to try and fill a little bit more time. Gwatz is here. Hello, my friend.
Hello.
This is
Hello,
not
guys.
usually the position that we will find ourselves in because the game is doing a funny. But looking ahead, obviously you're in a decently fast car. You're in the Mercedes. You've had some really good pace so far this season. What are your expectations going into, first of all, the sprint and then the 44-lap race?
Well, at this point, hello, everyone, by the way. Yeah, I thought I would be all right to burn a few minutes. You know me, I can talk for a while. So, yeah, I mean, at this point, I'm just excited to get going, not going to lie, because this feels like, I don't know, you remember Spa 2021 is what comes to mind, actually, So, yeah, it feels like everything's going a little bit slow right now. I mean, honestly, I'm quite excited. I think I have been lucky this season. Well, lucky in the sense that although I do have pace at some rounds, obviously I didn't even finish in Canada. That wasn't even really my fault. So it's obviously brought me down a bit on the average points kind of spectrum, So, yeah, I've managed to finesse a Merc, which is actually a decent car, not going to lie. So I'm quite excited. I think maybe I could be on for a podium or maybe even a win. It would be a bit of a fraudulent win, though. But, yeah, I'm excited to get going. I'm not going to lie.
Constructors Battle as well. Obviously, you're working with somebody who you know very, very well in the reigning champion in Cream 70. How's that partnership been so far this season? How much have you been working together and how much have you been enjoying racing alongside him?
It's been great. It's been great. I love Kareem. Obviously, we've known each other for year and a half now, I think. And I always wanted him to get into, well, I always wanted him to start streaming in general. And then he did that. And I always wanted to get him into Creator Series. And then he managed to get into F2, which is great. And then it kind of just went from there. And I think we always wanted to be teammates just because we're such good mates. Such good mates anyway, you know. So it's been really nice, actually, you know, because he's such a quick driver. I think I've just progressively gotten better and better at the game anyway. But he gives me a lot of tips. You know, helps me a bit with the setup as well. Because, you know, I can understand the basics of a setup, for example, but it's hard for me to pinpoint stuff. But obviously, because he's so good, he can do that, you know. So, yeah, it's an honor being his teammate, and it's very useful as well. A lot, as you'd expect, it's very useful.
100%. And the circuit as well of Spa, is it a track that you feel comfortable in? Is it a track that you think you're going to be confident at? There's also maybe some rain that we're going to see at some point during this race.
Yeah, track is a decent track. Spa is a decent track for me. I don't know. I mean, a lot of the time, I always go too deep into corners. That's one problem I always have. And there's not many corners to go deep into on this track, so that's obviously a good sign. Yeah, I don't mind when obviously, you know, you have a bit of a trade-off when you know, drive a car with very low wings, but I actually kind of, I don't know, I prefer that kind of like that the element it gives the car, you know. I kind of like that with my driving style, so that's not too bad. So it works out all right there. Yeah, it's a good track. I feel like, although it's an F1 game, so it doesn't really make sense, I feel like purpose-built tracks I'm always better on than like a street track or something, you know. Again, it's only the game, so it doesn't make as much of a difference as real life. Maybe it's just a mental thing, but yeah, I feel good at this track, so I mean, we'll see in a few minutes.
Oh, Gareth has said the lobby's loading. That is
yes.
lovely.
It's been on the guys. Hopefully
time.
I'll see you guys later as well, but you never know.
Yeah, third
never
time
know.
lucky.
Yeah.
Thanks for chatting to us, Squat.
It's okay,
Hopefully
guys.
We can
It's
see you
okay.
a little bit as well.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye. See you later. Bye-bye.
The madness of waiting for things to get us underway. We have got our fingers crossed because we have had a couple of attempts. For people that are just saying, can we just get going? There have been some Steam issues for a couple of the drivers that are unable to load in effectively and having some disconnects. In the YouTube chat, we've got Opjo Racing saying, can I say hi to George? George?
Hello, Objo.
And Chad is saying, can you vote George for driver of the day? I mean, if you want to step in one of the cars now and be our driver / commentator, that would be a fun one.
Should we just pack up and go home?
Yeah, that's it.
Get the graphic ready.
Get the graphic on.
Let's, while we wait, because I think we might shortly be getting going, let's just take us back through the starting grid, and then hopefully we'll cut to the pit lane. So Kieran McGinley and George Morgan, for the second time, hopefully the last time trying to go into the sprint, take us through the grid and hopefully take us into the pit lane.
Kieran's go. Come on, Kieran.
Oh, no. Uh-oh. Here we go then, starting grid. We'll just go through the top 10 just to give you a refresh of who goes where as we get into the sprint race. We've got Guat starting in the top 10 in the Mercedes. We just spoke to him with Tom in his final season as a full-time driver, still with the Alpine, even with the realistic cars at his disposal. Row number 4, it'll be Hayden Gullis in the Red Bull. That should be an interesting one with that guy then starting alongside him in the Mercedes. For its third row of the grid, then it's Lolinova on his return and in a Ferrari in 6th place, and it's Safso, a previous all-time great, in 5th place there and rocking the style. Ricky is in the Ferrari. He starts in 4th place with Scotty Designs, by the way, starting in 3rd place and in a Red Bull. I'm expecting big things, Scotty Designs. And our front row is 2 McLarens there. Nick Flies in 2nd place with Punju on that pole position for our sprint race upcoming. We'll see how the 2 McLarens can get on.
Well, we've now arrived trackside, everybody, and it's great to be back. And we welcome you all as well to Spa-Francorchamps here in the Ardennes Forest. Picturesque as they come. One of the longest circuits you're going to see on the calendar, 7.004 kilometers. And that is, of course, 4.352 miles. In totality, we've got 19 turns. This track opened ever since August of 1921. But, of course, Grand Prix racing only began back in 1950. But even has a history that surpasses Formula One in itself, but very much the history is quite entwined. It's going to be a real treat to watch the cars make their way through this circuit, of course, as it always is, and many of you, I'm sure, have been catching up with the Grand Prix racing here this weekend. Have you got any final predictions for us, Kieran?
I think everyone's going to have a great time, and this fence is really nice to sit on. No, obviously, I think Hayden Gullis might have something in the locker if he stays, facing the right way, and he stays as motivated towards the end of the race. He could work up some magic things in that Red Bull. I think as well, Gwatz is one to watch inside the top 10 and in a Mercedes. Let's see what he can do. And Matt 212 from the back in a Racing Bulls. How far up the order can he go on his Creator Series F1 Creator Series debut? I should add that caveat in.
Absolutely. Well, be sure to land your support, folks, to your favourite creators in the live chat. And of course, if there is any comments, I'm sure T-Dubs will be there, happily able to read them out for you as well as we make our way through this broadcast. We've got a huge feast of action to bring you. It's not just the sprint, of course. We do have a short qualifying session coming up later on. And on top of that, a full race to bring you to. So you do not want to turn away for a minute. We're going to be in for, I'm sure, a hellacious ride around this Spa-Francorchamps circuit where we've seen various former winners, including the likes of GB68 last time out last season, back in Season 9. No race prior to that, though, in Season 8. Before that, it was Tom 97, then two blanket weekends with no race at all. Also further back then came Rasin Alex Gillen, Timet Monica Meraki. All 5 lights lit though here for the sprint in Season 10, and they go and put pedal to the metal, and it's go, 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 and the 2 McLarens getting away well. The best start though given to Scotty Designs, by the way, who immediately plunges down the inside coming through turn 1. The Ferrari of Ricky 03 getting a brilliant start. We've got cars round at the back. Karim 7T is right at the rear. Teammate Alex Gillen in this race anyway, moving up into 17th spot, and Tom ahead of Meraki as they come out through a Rouge and Rowdy on here on lap 1. 8 laps to take us through to the checkered flag. Here comes Ricky 03 around the outside through Kemmel Straight in towards Laycombe. Now they go. Scotty Designs Punju wheel to wheel as well further back with that guy Vince, who moves into 4th. Great move from that guy Vince, and now looking for a move this time in a bid for a podium spot here in the sprint. This time though it's Gwatz we were just currently looking at, just behind that guy Vince's teammate. Gwatz up the 5th, Mercedes on the rise here, Kieran.
Nightmare start for Karim there. Got spun around, didn't quite see what happened there, but he's rejoined 1.8 seconds behind Matt 212, and going wide there is Punju, who started from that pole position. He's fallen down to 6th place, but a great start from Scotty Designs, by the way. He just clipped that inside wall in towards the Soars, and it sort of robbed him of the momentum he had going out of the first corner. Nevertheless, he's up into 3rd place. Ricky, by the way, up into 2nd place from 4th on the grid, so that's a great start from him, as we've got Alex Gillen, who's moved up to 16th place. He's up 3 positions from where he started, but the likes of Tom, who's fallen from 9th down to 14th place. Not a great start from the Dutchman there, but he's looking to fight back then as we watch on Meraki versus Tiamat Marduk as we make our way down towards the final chicane. We've got a move potentially up the inside here. Yellow flag going in towards La Source. That's a Racing Bull going very, very, almost a power slide. That might have been Razan Shai having a bit of a power slide here, but look at that battling from 5th place downwards then, as that's Infratic looking for a move up the inside here, but I think he tapped the wall there and has lost again all that momentum, and he might be gobbled up here by cars galore heading down to Eau Rouge.
Yeah, Zad come out of that, lost all momentum once again, and is now being chased down by Lolinoba, and that is one furious Italian you do not want to be caught up with. Lolinoba with quite the reputation, a race winner already, and he'll have no qualms in taking on Fabio. The Portuguese is in trouble as Lolinoba in his fabled Italian team car of Ferrari around the long way round coming through Laycombe. It's a squabble, a gaggle coming through Malmedy this time around as well in the front end of the Alpine belonging to Meraki, also sticking his nose in as well. Hayden Gullis, essentially the cork in the bottle in this train, Kieran. He has got Tim Malik behind him, and also in Fratic, Lolinoba, Meraki, GB, Tom, Alex Gillen, and Racing Shai. That's quite a collective you've got stuck in behind you.
Genie in a bottle situation, isn't it? He's got to make his moves the right way, does Hayden Gullis. He's still within that DRS range of Safso up ahead, we shall see, but that's a Ferrari of Lolinoba going up the inside, but that's Infratic off into the gravel then, going through in towards Stefania. I think we just saw the little bit of remnants of moves happening down the grid then. Didn't quite see the full picture, but Infratic falls all the way now to the back of the grid. Alex Gillen now up into P50. Now we ride on board then with GB as he chases down Razin Shai. These two battling within the championship. All 3 of them battling within the championship. Through Blanchimont they go and onwards towards the final chicane. GB looking, he'll have to go round the outside if he wants this move then. Round the inside becomes the inside line for the final corner. Getting the power down. Who gets the better exit? Would have thought Razin Shai gets the better exit, and he'll also have the inside line heading our way down in towards turn 1 here in this battle for 14th place. 13th place, I should say, in this sprint, as Razinchai holds on to that position, at least for now, with Alex Gillen just hanging on and seeing what happens up ahead.
Yeah, obviously plenty of action to come. We've got approximately 5 laps left to bring you until we hit the checkered flag. Quats now moving past Punju, who has had certainly everything thrown at him today. It wasn't a great start by Punju at all. Since dropped down to 6th places, Quats, even prior to Laycom, moves up into P5. Further up, Scotty Designs now coming under pressure. That guy Vince has actually taken P3 away from him, so that is a podium in this sprint race here for that guy Vince, who is now on the tail of Ricky 03. And obviously the gap now between Nick Flies and Ricky was actually staggered at around about 1.8 seconds. It has come in a little bit, and that guy Vince, I would argue, a little bit quicker than Ricky 03. So the Ferrari is going to come under some immense pressure now, and that Mercedes arguably, especially behind the wheel, being that guy Vince, will have a great chance now to move into second, and then it'll be on him to try and close the gap in the next 5 laps to try and bring himself closer to Nick Flies. And by the sounds of it, Karim is out.
Well, this is a replay of what happened to him at the start. I think he gets tagged there, gets tagged at the rear left, and that spins him all the way around. Not too much of a spin there because he's got himself back up into P17, but not the ideal start that he wanted. And with so few laps of this sprint race, there's not a lot of time to recover. Riding on board then with that guy Vince in what is Mercedes this weekend, I should say. He is actually going to be scoring points for Aston Martin, because although they're in realistic cars, they will still score points for their respective championship or their respective constructors. So that guy Vince will be scoring all of these points for Aston Martin. Nick Flies will still be scoring these points for McLaren because he is in a McLaren, and he could double his points tally just from this race alone so far. That guy Vince, we're riding on board with him. Then you see the picture in picture riding on board as we open up the DRS. He closes on Ricky, who decides to do some gardening, some lawn mowing down the Kemmel Straight, and that is an invitation that guy Vince just simply signs, sealed and delivers. And Infratic has brought a car into the pit lane to retire with 5 laps to go, 4 and a bit if you're picky.
Yeah, absolutely right. Infratic out now. Whilst of course Karim 7T is not out, as I mentioned previously. Previously he is of course still going around in the race. We've got quite the type coming in for P10 now. Lolinoba running outside of Tom. These two juggernauts in this series. It's pushed out wide there, Lolinoba, as now they come together once again. Tom forced behind, now into 11th. We have of course got them now coming down to Puan and Punju. It goes from bad to worse. He is now into the barrier on the outset of the left-hander coming through Jackie X. That is really unfortunate for Punju, now rooted to the back, 1.8 away from Matt 212 in his first start in the Creator Series. Obviously Punju now with a lot to do now, and by all intents and purposes that is him basically out of the race at this point. Currently 8.2 seconds behind Matt 212 with 4 laps or so to go. Hayden Gullis, a man on a mission, trying to close down to Tim Marduk, who has already surpassed him. Of course, Benjamin Daly in the Williams, a former 2-time champion. Last championship was taken back in season 8, and we'll be looking to try and lift that big championship aloft for a record 3rd time come the end of this season, but there's a lot for him to do. That guy Vince now in second, is now registered the fastest lap of the race. That is the beauty of the clean air, folks. That's a 1:45.247, and that incidentally better than Nick Fly's lap by approximately 0.04 of a second. So far so good. If you are at the moment the Mercedes driver, as he looks to try and hustle in a lot of that lap time, the gap is going to be furiously coming down. And of course, Nick Flies is going to have his wits about him here, Kieran, in order to hold position. We've just lost pictures here on our screen, but hopefully in due course we'll be able to update you folks. But it is, at the moment, Nick Flies leading the way.
Yeah, it is. And Nick Flies obviously looking to try and really hold on to that gap between himself and that guy Vince. It's currently about 3/4 of a second at this moment in time, but with that guy Vince having the fastest lap of the race, 1:45.247, he lapped 9/10 quicker than Nick Flies on that last lap. Scotty Designs, by the way, also in a battle with Ricky in that battle for the last spot on the sprint podium. But keep an eye though on Alex Gillen. He's in the 11th place at the moment. He's just set a purple Sector 1 in a Sauber, George, in a Sauber.
Unbelievable. Just goes to show the quality of the championship leader at the moment, who sits at the top of the tree on 149 points, 24 clear right now of Karim 7T at the moment. Obviously, bear in mind, if he can carry this form through in a sprint race environment here at Belgium, who knows what he could muster when we enter the Grand Prix later on tonight after qualifying. But of course, the short quali must come first. Arguably, though, a points finish here in the sprint could mean everything to Alex Gillen here at this point. Could be the difference between winning or losing the championship come the last round in round 12 later on in the campaign. Also looking to improve
between our two leaders is now down to about 0.3 of a second as well it's been great to keep an eye on those battles here. We've got some pictures and we just rejoined with Hayden Gullis spinning there, going through in towards Les Combes and Malmedy. That's my pick. That's a commentator curse. That's completely on me, Hayden. I apologise.
One end of the spectrum to the other. I'm glad to say my prediction is on for the race win, so you never know. This could be a win for George Morgan here at this moment in time. Lap 6 of 8 here in the sprint here at Belgium. Spa-Francorchamps has never looked so good. The sun is shining, no signs of rain, and we haven't seen any at all through the entirety of the 6 laps that we have been through already. Is now running very wide of the apex, goes Hayden Gullis, making his way through Pouon, and now heading down into the Lafanier chicane at turns 12 and 13, and it's a 3-second time penalty to Matt 212 down in 18th place as well, currently 30.4 seconds away from Gullis on our screens, but that guy Vince half a second away from Nick Flies, and we could yet see a battle for the race lead here in the sprint now. With 2 or so laps left, we now join the fight at the front as that guy Vince curtails out of the bus stop chicane. He's right in the wheel tracks here of the McLaren, and Nick Flies needs to fly in order to try and defend against the imposing force of that guy Vince, who is on for what could be a sensational first sprint victory and a first victory at all in the Creator Series so far in his entire career of racing in this series, and this levying further points that could be greatly required to breaking inside the top 10 and will give him the confidence heading into the qualifying session that's due later on post this race as they charge up through Kemmel. A big opportunity now as the Mercedes goes hunting late on the brakes. Nick Flies defends very well indeed, so that guy Vince will have to try again next time as they come through Malmedy.
That was a move then, Nick Flies. One move to the inside and then one move back to the racing line. Perfectly defended, as you said there, George, from Nick Flies to hold on to the lead of this race. Punju's just been disqualified for driving the wrong way. So we're down to 18 runners now because we had Infratic retire from the race earlier on. There's a battle in the for 4th place as well between Scotty Designs, by the way, and Gwatz as right now drivers make their way through in towards Pouon. We ride on board with Gwatz then in that battle for 4th place. Plenty of battling to keep our eyes on because Team Marduk all aboard because you've got from 6th to 16th place all in the DRS range of Team Marduk. So that's a massive train. We'll have to keep an eye and see if there are any moves that happen later on in this race. But we round off now through in towards the final sectors. We head our way through Paul Frere and now on towards Blanchimont then, the fast left-hander. Nick Fly is doing a good enough job to keep himself ahead of that guy Vince. But as we saw in the sprint race earlier, Hayden Gullis is now retired from the race. So there really does go my prediction. Through in towards the final chicane we go and back onto the power to start the final lap of this sprint. Can Nick Flies hold on to this sprint victory, or does that guy Vince have other ideas?
Let's find out together. La Source now about to light up, and indeed on the final lap, lap 8 of 8, there is that guy Vince in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. He may be wearing an Aston Martin jersey. That may have been the flag he's been flying all season long. Of course, the points he scores today will go in to that championship fight as well for Aston. But now, this is what's more important. It's wheel-to-wheel, heading up Kemmel Straight. That guy Vince in a Mercedes this time, taking on the McLaren of Nick Flies. As now they go wheel-to-wheel through Les Combes. They're going to stay side by side, coming into the apex. And it will be that guy Vince going off the track all but briefly. Through Malmedy, though, he leads the way. And it's the sprint race victory, potentially in the palm of his hand here for that guy Vince, as they now tussle through Rivage.
Remember, it's realistic cars, so Nick Flies technically has the better car underneath him. He should be able to keep up with that guy Vince. He's been showing some good pace all through this sprint race. Meanwhile, Alex Gillen is now up into the 8th place spot in this sprint. Nick Flies runs a little bit wide going through in towards Pouon then. He doesn't want to lose the back of that guy Vince too much then. Ricky also now in the top 3, starting to close on this battle. It might be a little too late for Ricky to try and challenge for the lead, but he could wrap up that sprint podium with only a handful of corners to go as the drivers now make their way through towards Stavelot.
Yeah, and we could be on the cusp. We love making history here in the Creator Series, and we could be writing a little bit of history here and now. Nick Flies, though, looking to try and muscle in every little bit of ERS he has left to try and launch one last challenge. That guy Vince now, the battery flashing on the rear end of the car as they make contact coming into the final corners, and it is wide for that guy Vince. Where is Nick Flies? He's nowhere to be seen. It's that guy Vince, a sensational first win in the No, it's not. He's got a penalty. 10-second time penalty unserved. It's Nick Flies with a victory this time, and for him it will be a first sprint race win for Nick Flies. A sensational result for the young man, who is also a former World Constructors champion in his own right. He will be on the podium, on the top step in the sprint, with Ricky 03 joining him as well. A sensational result for him, and Gwatz does make it in 3rd place.
It's a bit of that last corner will certainly go down his history as one of the last corners of all time in the Creator Series, that is for sure. But at the moment that it is Flies who does take the victory as they headed their way through there. Yeah, there's a little bit of contact between them. I'm sure we'll have a look at that, I'm sure. But we'll get you the provisional results then, and it is a McLaren that finishes on top. Shock horror!
Absolutely monumental form there from Nick Flies to bring it home from lights to flag. Started on the front row, finishes at the front as well. Ricky 03 in 2nd, Gwatz in 3rd. Scotty Designs, by the way, great performance in 4th. Tim Marduk managed to grind his way into the points as well, P5. Meraki in 6th. Then comes Alex Gillen, GB, as well as Lolin Ober. Then comes Rasin Chai as well, that guy Vince. Then Tom 97, Karim 7T. Then Tom, Formula Kai, Safso, Matt 212 on his debut start in 17th place. And of course, Hayden Gullis down in 18th. We lost Infratic and Punju earlier on in the race.
We spoke about as well the likes of Alex Gillen coming back and getting that Sauber up into the points. But he got 7th place. Remarkable drive from Alex Gillen from 19th place. Remarkable.
Absolutely remarkable. Tom, it was a breathtaking one.
Oh, he's got.
Need to unmute. Oh, fallen foul of the It's Chocolate syndrome. That was a lot of fun, especially right at the end. I was impressed with the pace that Tim Marduk had. I was impressed with the pace that Alex Gillen had. It would have been interesting to see where Kareem 7T would have ended up if he wasn't taken out at turn number 1. Something that I think was out of his control. I believe that was Tom 97's AI that just did a bit of an AIism. But that final corner, I've been trying to get the clip for it. If we can maybe have somebody send the clip in so we can analyse it in sort of 5 or 10 minutes or so, that would be absolutely delightful. But I think that Gavitz will feel hard done by, because he is obviously off the track, which is why he gets the penalty, but he is only ahead of Nick Flies for a microsecond, and that's where the 10-second penalty comes from. So I think he'll be cursing the game gods after that one, because not quite how we wanted to end it up. I think, Nick will probably say moved under braking. Datkovitz will probably say, why were you there? As we've heard a famous man say before. But really, really interesting sprint race. And we saw the effects of these equal cars. Nick Flies looked really rock solid out in front, apart from maybe that little mistake going through Pouon on the last lap. Ricky 03 had a really good drive as well in that Ferrari. And Gwatz didn't quite make the progress. I think he just got stuck in a bit of a DRS train. But once he started to move through the gears, obviously picking up that podium courtesy of the penalty for his teammate, he looks like a real threat if he can get a decent qualifying lap in. George, I know we don't usually do driver of the day for a sprint race, but I think it was a sprint race where so much happened and we saw so many people moving through the field. If you were to pick a driver of the day, who would you put your money on? Driver of the sprint, let's call it, not the day.
Oh, it's a tough one, really, to really muster. If I'm honest, I think you've got to give it, I think, to Alex Gillen. I think, really. I mean, to fire your way from 19th place then into P7, I think, to muster in a points finish, I think that is massive. I think, and especially for a title battle. I mentioned earlier on in the race as well that these little minute points-paying positions could make all the difference come the final day of the championship when we look ahead to the mystery Grand Prix that will be coming up for round 12 at the very tail end of the season. So who knows? I mean, that is massive. I obviously want to give kudos to Nick Fly's. Either way that race went, whether it would have been Nick Fly's victory or whether it be that guy Vince's victory, it would have been history made anyway. Both drivers have not won a race in Creator Series yet. It's a shame that it ended in such controversy, I think, really, coming into the bus stop. Obviously, I would have preferred if that guy Vince had got it, because then my prediction would have been absolutely spot on, without question. But either way, I think both drivers gave us an outright clinic right at the end there. So credit to them, but always, I think what would be interesting is obviously to take a look at that clip and see really where the upset really lay as such.
Yeah, see who's more in the guilty party, or if it is, of course, a racing incident, which seems to have gone out of fashion in real life. Kieran, if we go a little bit further down, Tim Marlick finished in P5, and that obviously crossed the line in P6. He did work his way through quite quickly, but he was another driver that just seemed to hit a brick wall halfway through the Grand Prix and couldn't make any more progress. Now, do you think that's pace related, or do you think that's maybe down to being in a Williams and just couldn't quite have the pace advantage over some of the cars in front of him?
It's difficult to say. I mean, he was ahead at the train, but he managed to defend and keep his spot at 6th place. I mean, the train went from 6th to 16th. 11 cars part of that train. But of course, really, it can only benefit the second car in that train. Everybody else has DRS behind them. So it's a case of everybody gets cancelled out by, all having DRS at the same time. Yes, it's realistic cars, but still, it's difficult to overtake when you're part of that train. But I think maybe the pace just didn't quite happen for Ben in that race, but at the same time he did enough to keep a hold of those spots. He didn't fall any further. In fact, if anything, he gained positions. He started in 13th place, finished 6th on the road, bumped up to 5th after penalties. I think that's a good day at the office. He picked up some points in the sprint. That's going to help him. He scored more points than Alex Gillen. I'm sure that's going to be a nice one in the back pocket as well. So I think that's a decent sprint from Ben.
100%. I think it puts down a bit of a mark as well, considering, yes, Kareem had that issue at turn number 1, but he didn't quite have the confidence to work his way through the traffic as Alex Dillon did, especially in those early few laps. Just a couple of people saying, are we allowed to get penalties removed? We don't have stewards in the Creator Series now. There's not going to be anything removed from that, I wouldn't expect, with that 10-second penalty. So you can debate about it until your hearts come home, but I think that result with Nick Fly's winning will stand. Brad Bomb doing very well with the Nick Fly's prediction, so congratulations on that one. Heading into qualifying, though, the pair of you, I'm going to start off with George. From what you've seen pace-wise from the drivers throughout the sprint, is there anyone that has maybe just improved in your standing and you're thinking could be a little bit more of a dark horse than maybe we thought beforehand?
I think I'm going to throw that guy Vince back in again. I really think if his temperament's okay after that one, we'll have to wait and see. But, I think he definitely showed enough that he can definitely be a force. I think Alex Gillen is going to be sensational. I think, again, you don't just move up from 19th place to 7th on a whim. That is, an incredible, number of place gains. What are we talking? 12 place gains through the course of that race. That is truly unreal. I think, again, though, with Karim, I don't think we even saw what he could have been capable of, really. I think had he not had the spin at the start, I would definitely expect he and Alex Gillen to have been throwing down right through to the checkered flag in that sprint race. We were very unlucky, really, not to see that, and it would have been good to see as well at the same time. But I would say those are going to be some of the clear names that we've got to watch out for. GB68, I think he could probably arguably do a little bit better. I'm slightly disappointed with him, to be honest, because I thought we might see something extra from GB. But still, nonetheless, plenty of head turners, so to speak. I think Gillen is definitely going to be a force in qualifying, though.
Kieran, reiterate a similar thing? Or have you got somebody else you've got your eyes on?
I was impressed with Nick Fly's. I mean, he had some good pace at the start. Yes, we've chucked him in a McLaren, but that did not look like a driver who has only scored 8 points all series so far. He looked in control and looked comfortable until the closing laps there. If he can work on that sort of defensive, work on that a little bit of that racecraft as well, there's a race victory on the cards for him today.
He had the fastest lap as well until Vince took it away. Until at the very back end, so he was the fastest man on track, and there was only, I think, a few thousands between them. I think, if I remember correctly, around about 300-400s, I should say, between them. I think when Vince took the fastest lap off him.
Well, we've had a taste of the pace that we're looking at for a couple of drivers, but now we really get to see what things are looking like, how everything is going to shape up when they truly open the taps and stretch their legs for the first time. We are heading into our 18-minute qualifying session. Intermediate pole, we need to remember that as well. All be covered once again by your brilliant comms duo. It will be, and it'll be both. Kieran McGinley and George Morgan.
Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining us back again inside our analyst's position with the screen alongside. It's very fancy, isn't it? We do love to have it. Q1 now in full swing. The drivers waiting in the pits for their opportunity to strike, and I think we're going to see plenty of opportunities to strike here. Of course, remember, this is a short qualifying scenario, folks, to tee up the grid ahead of our 100% race that we're going to be bringing you later on. And as we have already witnessed the sprint here, Kieran, we know who's fast really at the moment. Obviously, it's going to be tough for anyone to hold a candle really to Alex Gillen so far. He's just been relentlessly quick, but some promising signs from the realms of Tiamat Marduk and others as well. You know, it's really who is going to be able to cope with the performance levies really at this stage, and because it's going to be a huge factor here, not just in qualifying but also in the race.
Absolutely. I'm just sort of keeping an eye on the timing screens from, or sort of looking at the results, I should say, from last time around. And there are some drivers in there that give them a qualifying session and they are going to absolutely light up everything. I mean, it should be good. I mean, that guy Vince had the fastest lap of the race last time out, so he's probably going to be one, as you say, as long as he can put what happened behind him and focus on the next race now. This is where the grown-up points are scored, if you like. This is where the big points are scored for teams and drivers alike. So this is where it's going to matter much, much more. He's got a great chance of grabbing a pole position if he can, and we'll see what he can do from there. But Alex Gillen, I mean, he managed to set a 1 minute 45.9 in the last race, and that was 7/10 slower than that guy Vince. Reminder that Gillen was in a Sauber, and this is realistic cars. So again, one to also keep an eye on. Alex Gillen here looks very much up for this one as we see him out there. Championship leader going into this weekend, I should say. But we'll see what he can do with that Sauber towards the end of this. We'll see as well who's got the Inters out there. Yes, we've got Safso and Tiamat Marduk looking for the Inters pole position at the moment. There is Safso, who makes his way through in towards the final corner. Tiamat Marduk also looking for that Inters pole. Only 2 competitors at the moment. We still have a couple of cars in the pit, so we'll see if that changes.
Yeah, it tends to, though, finish when there's 12 minutes or so to go, so it's going to be interesting to see who's going to get this one, because at the moment it's only Safso and Tiamat Marduk making their way around on the intermediate tyres, so maybe some drivers are just choosing, maybe we don't focus on the intermediate pole lap, maybe we just focus on the big points in itself, as we just see as Safso squirms his way over the Eau Rouge and Radion section. We got outlaps across the board now on soft tyres. Right now, no one on the green banded tyre bar, Safso and Tiamat Marduk, so let's wait and see. Coming in towards Les Combes, so far it's a 31.963 for Safso in the first sector. Of course, he's going to be distinctly slower to those on that soft compounded tyre. Alex Gillen incidentally managing to list a 30.2 in the first sector himself. He's got plenty of clear air in front of him as Safso. I'm sure he's trying to raise his inner Thomas Ronhaar, or maybe even now the retired Brendan Lee. Right now, just trying to almost channel it here for this performance here at Spa-Francorchamps as they now hustle down through the downward slope of the Ardennes Forest with the trees all lined up. A very stunning circuit as well, very picturesque as the drivers now make their way in their cars around the middle sector. Now, next up, Campus and Stavelot, as now we see Safso diving down the inside through the next double right-handers through Corbeil-Paul Frere very shortly. Yellow flags raised in Sector 3, but that's generally because there's a little bit of congestion out there right now with various cars out on outlaps and also at the same time some that are on fast runs. They fly through Blanchimont, and again the wheel play very apparent on Safso's car as he flies down through towards the bus stop chicane. It's a 1:42.417 for Gillen as now GB goes 39 thousandths away into second fastest. Here comes Safso though on the all-important intermediate tyre. Let's see what that first tyre time is, and that's a 1:48.718 for Tiamat Marduk to beat.
Yeah, and what's actually, looking at it, we've got our telemetry on the screen. We're being advised rain in 5 minutes. That is probably why we haven't got many people looking for that Inters pole, because they're probably going to use those Inters later on as Razin now goes fastest, 1 minute 42.3. But it also means they've got limited running around the longest circuit where the outlap at least takes you 1 minute 50, 1 minute 55. The lap itself takes a 1:42, 1:43. So that's not a lot of time to set an Inters time and then, well, head your way back to the pit lane, bolt on a new set of softs and go for a lap. We're looking maybe at 1 or 2 quick laps here, maybe that one stop, that quick stop as Gwatz now goes fastest. 1 minute 41.8 from the Mercedes driver this weekend, as that guy Vince now goes second fastest, 142.1. So Gwatz clear by nearly 0.3 of a second, in fact over 0.3 of a second, as Tiemek Marduk makes his way around the final corner. What will he do then? Can he beat Safso's time of 148.7 for that Inter's pole position? He will. It's a 147.9.
Now it's the rush to get into the pits as well, because obviously we're looking at our telemetry screens at the moment, and the time for the rain to come in is in approximately 4 minutes or so's time, and it's going to be light rain for now. Ricky 03 now about to funnel his way across the line as well. Let's see where he goes. Fourth fastest with the purple middle sector, with the purple final sector still in the pocket of Tom 97, of course, who is a former race winner at this track back in Season 7. Here comes now Tom, who's also won championships in the past, never won here though at Spa-Francorchamps. His teammate Meraki also driving the Alpine here tonight, making his way out of the final corner, and now hustling up towards the line with DRS now open, goes 9th fastest here and now, and of course is the Season 4 champion, and of course that championship was decided at this very circuit, where of course he beat Tiemek Marduk to the punch. One little fact I've got for you though, which might be of interest, Kieran. We've not had a single driver that's won here in the past 9 seasons of the Creator Series that's later gone on to win the championship. So if you win here at Spa, likelihood you're not going to win the title.
Really bad omen. Do you reckon that's why they threw the wild card out there?
Probably.
Tom goes 14th fastest across the line. Yeah, that's an interesting stat. Here is Karim, though, second in the championship, coming into tonight's racing action as he makes his way now through in towards that final chicane. What can he do? Can he get quicker than Gillen? Can he maybe even go for a top spot? Let's see as he makes his way across the line. It's 7th fastest by 1/1000th of a second. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? There's literally nothing to separate them in the Saubers for Gillen and Karim. That's wonderful. That's phenomenal.
Places more light really on this P1 and P2 battle in the championship. Hayden Gullis has retired from the session, it seems, so he will not be partaking in any remaining laps. The rain is due in a couple of minutes. Obviously Karim now making his way up the hill. I can tell you that the first sector was a purple one for Alex Gillen. The middle sector was a purple one for that guy Vince. As now Karim 17 flies through on the escape road of the Laycom section, coming through Malmedy, and now makes his way down through towards Rivage. Yellow flags up in the final sector as well for the very slow Infratic, who is now crawling his way into the pits, just making his way onto the grass as well as he looks to try and recoup. Ricky 03 will now pirouette heading into the pit lane as well, and that rain will very soon be coming in thick and fast. So many invalidations out there right now as well, like most of the grid have all invalidated. The rain is coming down now, Kieran.
Yeah, rain is falling, so this is going to be it then, I think. If the rain continues, and it's not going to get any better, as Scotty Designs, by the way, both Red Bulls have now retired from this qualifying session. That's normally an indicator that conditions are not going to get any better. They're not going to recover once the rain has fallen. So we are probably and provisionally looking at our top runners, with Punju and Lolinoba not setting lap times. That in a wildcard weekend where you've got realistic cars with Punju in the McLaren, Lolinoba in the Ferrari. This was a chance for them to really step up the order, but they're 19th and 20th with no lap time set at the moment.
No one really wants to be stuck in the middle of the pack, do they? Really heading in towards the source. I think that's the major concern here. And obviously with Punju, who now retires from the session, DRS is now disabled, folks. I would say that is likely to be it here and now. The rain is not set to slow down anytime soon. Zafso binning it straight into the barrier. Will be starting at the very least, at the very most, P18, with Nick Flies retiring as well. So various, or all the drivers right now having the same assumptions, feeling that obviously the track is not going to improve at this point, which puts Gwatz in a phenomenal position here on the front row, along with Formula Kai. And we mentioned Kai being one of those grand improvers. Dat guy Vince as well on the second row. A lot of big players there, but what about Rastin Chai starting 4th? He could very likely return to the top here at Spa. Of course, we've not had a winner here around Spa go on to win here for a second time. Rastin Chai could be the first to do that here.
He could. And starting from the second row of the grid, great lap time from him. And in fairness, great lap time from both of the Saubers, as Lolinoba just about keeps it under wraps. It just shows you that the slick tyres are not good enough anymore with that DRS disabled. That is that. Let's have a look and see. Nick Flies will start from P8 then. in the standings. So that's a decent result for Nick. Obviously, he came into this weekend with only 8 points to his name in the Creator Series. This season, he doubled that going into the sprint. He could add a whole lot more coming into the race this time around. And there'll all be points for McLaren, because although Nick Flies is a realistic car in the McLaren, he's already in the McLaren going into this season. So all the points he will score will be for himself and McLaren anyway. For example, with Gwatz, he normally drives a Red Bull, so although he's driving in a Mercedes, he'll get the performance of the Mercedes towards the start of this season, I should say, but all his points will actually go to Red Bull.
Oh, we just watched there as the cars make their way out of Rivage. Tim Marnick retiring as well. We've only got a smattering of cars left that have not yet retired. Of course, GB currently in the pits. Outlap here for Formula Kai, who's continuing around the circuit. Alex Gillen also stuck in the pits. There's now a collision there between Meraki and Formula Kai, which no question has damaged the Williams that Formula Kai is driving. And it will be, of course, out of the session as a result. Yeah, I mean that could yet lead to a ban. So no, bad news could be coming your way, Kai. Kieran McGinley has spoken, and therefore
ban hammer's coming down. Bang, there it goes. I'm only joking, Formula Kai.
No, he's not. Alex Gillen now making his words on the track now on an outlap himself. So just looking, I suppose, just to test the water on the intermediate tyre, just to get some running in right now. So that's what you call a sweat from our championship leader.
That's terrible. That's terrible, George. testing the waters of the... that's terrible. That's terrible. You're bored to be a commentator. It's all good. Formula Kai, though, like I said, second place for him. This is a great opportunity for him to pick up some really good points. 89 points for him going into this weekend, not taking into account of any sprint results. Had that second place last time out. Could have had a really good result at Austria, but unfortunately he lost it whilst battling on the final lap. I'm sure he'll be delighted for me to remind everyone of that. But yeah, he's in some great form. He's currently second place. He's very likely going to stay second place now. But starting on the front row alongside Gwatz in a Williams, starting ahead of that guy Vince. Great lap from Kai. This is a huge opportunity for Formula Kai to grab some big points and get himself back into some sort of hunt towards the end of this season.
He's well placed, and obviously if he can get ahead of Gwatz, then there's no dirty air. It's all clean. He can just focus on what's in front of him. That guy Vince, so I think, is going to be a huge danger, I think, for that front two, and also Racing Chai as well. That is a monstrous second row right there with that guy Vince and Racing Chai together. And obviously if you are that guy Vince, you're going to be ruining that last outing that we had in the sprint just now. He's going to be so keen to get a big result here and now in this feature race that we're going to be bringing you, the actual Grand Prix race here tonight in the Creator Series. Big points on the table, of course, because like you say, obviously we're not moving into that position where we're offering 8 points for a win. Instead, we're talking about the fundamental 25 points for a win here. And now, given the fact that we are going to be doing a full distance race here after this qualifying session is concluded, the checkered flag is nearly out. We're just waiting on Formula Kai at the moment. It was currently sat in the pit lane. But Gwatz, I mean, what a sensational qualifying. I mean, to Percy, put his Mercedes on, not just on the front row, but on pole position and ahead of Formula Kai by approximately over 1/10 and 1/4. Let's run through the results. Gwatz is your P1 sitter and sits just over 1/10 and 1/4 ahead of Formula Kai, who will join him on the front row. That guy Vince in the second row position, third place, alongside Racing Chai, of course, former champion in the Creator Series, Riccio 3 in 5th. Alex Gillen, also former champion of Season 2, in 6th place as well, with Karim 7T in 7th. Nick Flies there on row 4, along with GB, Meraki 10th. Then further down, we have Hayden Gullis, Tom 97. Scotty Designs, by the way, in Fratic, Tom, Matt 212, Tim Marnick with a lot of work to do, and Zafso further back as well, Lolinoba, and then Punju. It looks like Tim Marnick has taken that fastest intermediate tyre point.
Absolutely. And interesting tidbit there. Our pole sitter did not get a purple sector in any sector on the fastest lap. There you go.
Mind melting. Incredible, Tom.
That is a stat that I really enjoy. So thank you for bringing that to my attention. First F1 Creator Series pole for Gwatz. He has got a couple, I think. Well, he definitely has got a couple in F2. Formula Kai, like you mentioned as well, and that Williams to be that close to pole position, that's some serious pace. We should be looking out for Kai. This is probably the best chance he's had so far to get that first win. But I think the thing that stands out for me is if you go from 5th place Riccio 3 down to Meraki in 10th, they were separated. That's 6 cars by 0.05 of a second. And I think that is a very good way to confirm that we've got these cars pretty much right.
Yeah, I think they're definitely tied up quite nicely. It will make it a very competitive race. I have no question about that. I mean, it's been a very competitive season. If you look largely at where both Karim and Alex Gillen were, of course, they're both sharing the same car. I think we were talking, 1,000th, Kieran, I think, between the two of them at one stage, which is absolutely unbelievable. I mean, it just goes to show that these two were meant for each other in terms of the title fight that we're currently seeing. Of course, Alex Gillen on top for now, but bear in mind, there's only a 26-point gap. If there was one little bit of hoodoo there for Alex Gillen and a race win for Karim, we could see the championship lead, change hands as soon as the next round in Hungary and Budapest. It's going to be very tight. They could be very close to level on points come the checkered flag at the end of play here at Spa-Francorchamps, which really does throw up an interesting complexion. But also some big players there. Rasin Shai has probably got the best chance he could ever wish for, really, starting on the second row, 4th in the championship, and could be on for a victory. He only has 3 cars in front of him.
It's going to be really interesting, isn't it? And Kieran, I was listening in with Tim McMurdoch, who obviously got intermediate pole but does find himself down, I think, P17. He actually said, I would much rather have this point than be starting at best 9th or 10th. What do you make of that mentality? Do you think that's the right way to go, or do you think he's maybe shot himself in the foot ever so slightly?
No, I think what we saw from the sprint, it gets a little bit hectic down at the source, especially for the first time. I think Ben's playing it safe here by getting the point for Inter's pole. That's fair enough. But I think that also offers him a chance to really think long term. There's a long race ahead. 44 laps around Spa. It's a long, long time. If weather gets into an effect, we shall see. I'm looking forward to seeing if there is any sort of Ardennes Forest weather trickery going on that will happen in the race. In any case, I think it's a wise choice because it's so close up at the top. You've got those drivers that are further down the championship table who are going to be battling for higher positions, knowing that this is their chance to get some huge points. And maybe Ben's just thinking, let's stay out of that battle. Let's see how it goes, say, a quarter into the race, and then start to make moves from that point onwards. I think it's a smart decision. He'll under fuel, of course, because it is Ben, and he'll be hoping for a safety car or maybe some rain on the horizon. But I think it's not the worst play in the world. It's certainly thinking long term.
Yeah, I mean, if we also look, Tom, at taking the sprint race as a litmus test for it as well. I mean, Tim McMurdoch arguably performed better than Alex Gillen, in terms of finishing positions in the sprint. So, if he was able to go that high up come the end of the sprint race from where he started, I would say there's a good chance, given that the very fact that we're going to be going over a longer distance this time, that there's more opportunity there for Tim McMurdoch to gain those places back and still, find himself in the main point, pound seats in the points, or maybe even something more than that if there is a safety car.
And he's just giving himself that little bit more flexibility as well, because of course he's got all of those soft compound tyres still available. We know how much Ben loves a late race safety car. The formation lap is go, though. We have 2 drivers on the front row, the top 3 actually, never winning in the F1 Creator Series before. It is a day for potential milestones. George and Kieran, we have rain on our radar. Take it away for us.
Yeah, the rain is not going to stop anytime soon either. Thank you, Tom, as you join us back here at Spa-Francorchamps. Just like it was in qualifying, the rain continuing to pitter-patter all over the Ardennes Forest circuit as they now descend, coming down through Rivage. We're currently watching on our screens Watts getting set, ready for the race, trying to get some heat into the tyres in very cold, damp conditions here and now. It can get rather blustery as well here at Spa. In terms of temperature in the air, we're looking at 20 degrees with 18 degrees here just now, obviously 2 degrees short, with 23 degrees track temperature. Altogether rather cold in comparison to where we would usually see it in dry weather. But the big question is, who's going to get off the line first? Who can manage these very treacherous moments in a very treacherous circuit in treacherous conditions? There is GB. He's been known to do it on the odd occasion. He will need a big result this time. He could yet become a back-to-back race winner at this very circuit.
He very much could. He's got some quick drivers up ahead of him, and more importantly as well, some quick cars to add to that as well. 9th place is very respectable, but Alex Gillen and Karim in the Sauber absolutely putting in a shift, 1,000th of a second separating them between them. There's Meraki, who's starting in 10th place, of course, 78 points from him so far this season. So we'll see what he can do. And we'll see as well what the rain has in store for us. When we get going, we'll have to see how the weather will treat us here. We know how treacherous it can be at Spa-Francorchamps. We know we're in the heart of the Ardennes Forest. Weather can be very unpredictable at times. Hopefully for us it's predictable. Maybe not so much for the drivers. I don't know. what I am looking forward to is 4 meters and 7 kilometers of Spa-Francorchamps, one of the best circuits on the calendar.
Absolutely right indeed. Of course, while we wait for the pictures to return to our commentary screens, we will, of course, keep you updated as to how things fare. Obviously, closing the formation lap. Obviously, we've had various winners here that have also won championships in the past. But like I said earlier on in the show, we have not had a single winner of this race go on to win a championship that same season. Meraki may have won a title here back in season 4, but ultimately, he did not win the race. Here back in season 3. He's your championship leader at the moment, and obviously looking to thunder in yet another big result. Obviously, we'll look to try and break the voodoo curse as we're now underway here at Spa-Francorchamps, and it's Formula Kai who got the lead off the line as well, with Gwatz in second. That guy Vince making it a Mercedes double act in 2 and 3 as they now fly up through the Kemmel Straight. GB getting a good start. He's ahead of Ricky 03 already. Tom 97 inside the top 10 with Nick Flies now displaced down to 11th. They come through Laycom and now fly through the second half of it through towards Malmedy. It is Formula Kai with the spray being kicked up off the rear tyres. Gwatz still chasing him down. They're all nose to tail. No major incidents, or maybe there are, because Tim Mardica's fallen downhill, and now Alex Gillen up the inside of GB as they now tussle now coming through towards Rivage section, through towards Jackie X. Who's going to win this big battle now? It looks like it's going GB's way. Or is it? No, Gillen in 6th, Ricky down in 8th, GB remains in 7th.
Yeah, there was Matt 212 who had a spin there, I think, at the top of Radion then, so he now falls about 3.5 seconds behind, so it will be a long race for him to try and get back up the order and get back onto the tail of that. But yes, Formula Kai with that start gets him up the order and leading the race here with Watts in 2nd place, that guy Vince in 3rd. Razin holds on to 4th place for now with Karim in 5th. Alex Gillen now into 6th with GB in 7th. Ricky in 8th, Meraki up to 9th, and Tom 97 rounding off our top 10. We're looking at rain potentially stopping within 15 minutes in this race, so we will see not only if the rain stops, but how quickly the track dries. It is a little bit colder out there than we were expecting, so maybe it takes a little bit of time to dry out. All things we shall wait and see. But look at this battle here. This is Hayden Gullis and Nick Flies as they battle their way down towards the chicane then, as there's a little look up the inside as well from Tom on Emphatic. But look at this, we're too wide in the background. Safso up the inside of Lolinoba trying to get the power down. That would look like Lolinoba will get a better exit, and the inside line heading our way down in towards La Source. Can he get that move up for P15? Down the inside he will go. Will get the power down, will the Ferrari, and just about gets ahead of Safso, but not for too long. They'll run side by side here as they head their way down to Eau Rouge and Radion and bring out their inner Fernando Alonso and Mark Webber, though with some water on the track. They run side by side. Oh, there's contact between the two of them. Safso manages to gather the car back up, and at such high speed, how on earth did he keep that all together?
That was a fantastic save from Safso there in behind. We've got some side-by-side action as well between Punju and Scotty Designs, by the way. Scotty quite willing to allow Punju through to take that P18 spot away from him. It is still currently half a second between Formula Kai and Gwatz at the moment. Gwatz putting on a really good stint so far, despite losing the top spot at the very start of the race, where Formula Kai gladly pounced and took the lead away from him as they made their way out of La Source. It is still, though, further down. Rasin Chai, that guy Vince, still occupying P3, as well as incidentally lost DRS to Gwatz so far. Not that there will be any DRS at this rate in the course of this race. Further down, Tom 97, purple in the first sector on this particular lap, lapping in the 33.4s, which incidentally half a second quicker than Ricky in P8. So expect Tom 97 to start turning on the style very shortly, as Karim 7T also looks to close on the back of Rasin Chai. They all are as they are right now. 1.4 though is the major gap between P3 and P2, and Vince could be facing trouble from Rasin Chai in the not too distant future should this carry on. Important to note that every car is all embracing the intermediate tyre.
Yeah, and everyone's still circulating the circuit as well. We're right on board with Razin Chai then as he makes his way in towards that final chicane then. Oh, and leaving that braking lane. I think there was a bit of a lock-up as well from Razin there. Lock-up of the rears, managed to keep it all together and get his power back down as he looks to try and close in on that guy Vince for a place right now on the podium. Karim is not too far behind, only 2/10 behind on that time. And look at that, he's right behind him there, right on his rear diffuser as we get the power down. Karim will be looking to see what he can do, try and get some points on Alex Gillen. Being ahead of him is fine, but he'll want a couple more positions up the road and get even more points. We ride on board now with Karim. Second place in the championship coming into this weekend's worth of racing as we head away down the Kemmel Straight. Karim is 3/10 behind. Razin Chai is also 2/10 behind that guy Vince as we head away onwards then towards Laycom. They stay line of stirred for now, but you can just see Razin Chai and Karim chomping at the bit to try and get some positions in his early phase.
Yep, still trying to jostle for clear track position. As we said, the dirty air can be a major problem for some drivers, and but Spa certainly leaving plenty of opportunities for overtakes to occur, as we have already seen through the course of the sprint race, as we now watch them charge downhill through towards Puon once again. This is Rasin Chai that we're currently watching in the RB, who's currently chasing down after that guy Vince for that third place spot. Important to note that Gwatz is now over a second behind Formula Kai now, who's trying to check out here at this moment in time. We figure that it's likely to be a one-stop given the rain, in accordance to the predictions laid down by our overlay HUD, the overlay HUD. They are now predicting that obviously they'll jump onto another set of wet tyres for the next time around. So of course you're not obligated to conform to the tyre rule in these wet conditions. You don't have to plumb for a set of softs, because obviously you can't use them in the wet. There's a big mistake there from Rasin Chai getting onto the curb, and that leaves Karim needing no invitation to move on through into fourth now, and is 8/10 away from that guy Vince. A major moment there for Chai, who has now been left on a plate here for Alex Gillen, who will have no problem switching and looking to the inside, coming through towards bus stop and shutting away the barrier, the entryway for Chai to repeat is Karim. So this will open the door here for Gillen to certainly run alongside the RB and into fifth place. So in one moment, in one sector, Rasin Chai losing 2 places, but I'm sure he's going to look to fight back against Gillen, who I'm sure loved every moment of that.
The Sauber Sharks smell blood in the water then when Razin Chai just had that mistake making the way coming out of that fast corner of Stavilo and just pounced instantly. They knew they had to get the move done. Razin Chai is not going to wait around either, but we ride on board with GB, and look at this now, Gillen and Razin Chai now once again going side by side, with Razin Chai having to look for the outside move, but he backs out of it there, and Gillen takes the racing line as they head their way now through in towards Laycom and Malmedy. But look at this, Gillen having to defend from Razin Chai. That is allowing Karim to just get a little bit of breathing space up the road there as we watch on with Punju and Scotty Designs, by the way, heading their way through in towards Laycom and Malmedy as they get then back down onto the power as they descend down towards Brussels. There is Tom 97 in the Haas right now, making his way through Jackie X corner and getting the power down. Look at Tom in the background as well in the Alpine, trying to find a way past Ricky 03 in the Ferrari as they head their way through in towards Puon here. We've got yellow flags in sector 2. That's going to be at the X corner, and it is Punju, and it's safety car. Safety car's been deployed, and that is a front wingless Punju. Now that will throw a bit of a cat among the pigeons. We've still got about 9 minutes worth of rain. There's not going to be, I wouldn't have thought there would have been any pit stops. It's way too early in the race, and there's very much some weather involved that could change over the course, but a little bit of a chance to take stock and review on what a great start Formula Kai has had. But unfortunately for him and for Gwatz, their 3.6 second lead for that guy Vince is going to be well and truly wiped from history.
He once had a nice gap to Gwatz as well, but now all of a sudden that's going to come cascading down. So all of a sudden the win or the lead in the race is ultimately exposed here and now. And obviously further back, this will open a few doors here for the Kick Sauber boys. Obviously with Alex Gillen now up into 5th place, just behind Karim 70. So keep your eyes peeled on those mean green cars. As now all of a sudden we do see the odd pit stop coming into play. In comes Rasin Chai boxing under the safety car. Now that's an interesting take. Because of course we are due to stop raining in around 8 minutes, but it's a bold claim to all of a sudden decide to move on to slick tyres, especially given the fact that we might not even see dry conditions. It might still stay wet.
It's a bold call, but goes on the hard tyres for Razin Chai. That is bold, isn't it? Well, we'll see what happens there, but he's not going to be alone. Tom is into the pits, Hayden Gullis lolling over. What they're hoping for is that the safety car period goes for such an extended time that they sort of get to a window where it stops raining. I mean, that's 8 minutes, 7 minutes away, roughly, according to our info and what we have on our screens. So that's a bold call. It's a very bold call. I like it, though. it's one of those decisions that can make or break a race here. Rasenchai is not going to have a lot of grip out there on the hard tyres. He's going to be the first of these corners to see what it's like out there. But it is currently still raining. But yeah, I'm loving this. I'm loving this strategy split.
I'm not one for conspiracies here, Kieran, but obviously I would say that if you are Rasenchai right now, you don't really want to be catching up with the safety car too quickly. You'll want to try and leave it out for as long as possible, just to make assurances as to where the weather will sit. Or by all means, obviously catch up, but obviously they'll want to time it for that moment where, of course, all the other cars come into the pits to then change onto their own slick tyres, and therefore the safety car remains out for longer. They can almost semi-guarantee not only to get track position, but also be on the right compound when the right conditions are there out on track. So, you know, I do wonder whether they might try a little bit of that, because he's only 3.7 to 3.9 away, and it's not coming in all that quickly.
Oh, I would have thought it stays up for at least another lap there. I would have thought. We'll keep an eye on that. But yeah, Formula Kai will lead the way. And as you say, it's sort of playing with the weather report. You know, you're looking at this scenario as what's there running, I think, into the or one of them was running into the gravel anyway. You'll see this strategy as well, where when the safety car does pit in, we might be towards the end of this rain, and then it will start to dry up. And so your drivers like Rasenchai downwards are sort of thinking, right, what's going to be the time loss that I would have to be in the pit lane to change over tyres once it is actually dry enough to do so when we go green flag racing? What's that compared to if I pit now, lose out, as that was a dummy then from Karam. He decides not to, but Alex Gillen does commit to the pit lane, and so too does GB, so they're going for the dry tyres as well. So they're obviously weighing it up and thinking, right, I will lose less time by going onto the dry tyres now, just waiting for that crossover window, and then once it gets dry, you know, start to gain that time back, rather than being at a long lap here. You don't want to be in the intermediates when it's pretty much a bone dry track and you've just passed the pit lane. So you'll lose a lot of time there. So it's all this math that's going on in drivers' heads, but Rasenchai has started a chain reaction here, and he could be the major beneficiary if he gets this right.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a very smart call for those to come in. There was only a few of them that decided to do it, actually coming in the lap after. Than obviously the ones we saw before. Obviously, whilst of course there will be a difference in terms of tyre wear, it's not going to be all that much. So I would say that it's a distinct possibility here that you know, they could be better off actually if you do box the lap later and obviously leave the safety car out for as long as possible. The only thing they will lose out on now is track position. If you're Alex Gillen, obviously now, as you can see, 17th place. Remember where he was before the safety car came out. He was inside that top 6, you know, coming through onto the lap where we saw the safety car come out. So he was, whether it's a good move or not, we're not quite sure. In any case, I think he had to respond, ultimately, Alex Gillen, to the immediate pit stops that were made by Rasenchai. Rasen's basically forced their hand. And actually, I think it's well played by Rasen as well in a certain way, because now he's in P9. Arguably, he is in a great position. He's highest of those runners on the slick tyres, and he's only got 8 in front of him. If this track dries up, it's 4 minutes in accordance to our telemetry. If it does dry up, then he's going to be in a great place.
He is, and this shows the sort of, you know, experience of those top runners, that they've been in scenarios like this before. Maybe they haven't, but Rasen's rolled the dice here. He realises a safety car is in this lap. He realises that it's worth rolling the dice and try and gain some time, because it's such a wild weekend. It's such a wild card, if you like. Use of alliteration there. We'll see how it all plays out, but Formula Kai at the head of the field on intermediate tyres. Rasen's the highest runner on the dries. We'll see how it all plays out.
Yeah, and keep your eyes on Punju as well, folks. He's boxed onto a fresh set of intermediate tyres because, of course, he had that wing damage, had to get it fixed. So let's see whether Punju's able to easily move his way up the order without too much fuss. We've got, obviously, up at the front end, Formula Kai, Gwatz. They'll be looking to make the most out of these intermediates. They're going to have to gap those on the slicks, really, by quite some margin in order to retain that track position, as now they put pedal to the metal for the second time in this race now. Kai coming down in towards turn 1. Gwatz in behind as well. That guy Vince also getting a good steady restart. He's joined by Karim, who's currently locked in 4th place. If you're Karim right now, you're going to want to push and try and levy your way in front of the 3 cars that are ahead of you, just so you can try and gap your championship rival as they come over the crest, coming through Rouge and Radion, and now through Kemlin. Already Karim asking major questions, this time of that guy Vincent. They're going to run side by side, heading up through towards Laycom and getting the move, one and done before the corner. Karim up into third place and now sits within a second of Gwatz as he looks to continue and push his way further inside this top three.
Got to be quali laps from our Inters runners. They've got to be quali laps. The rain is about to stop. If not, it stopped raining out there, or if it is still raining, it's a very light drizzle out there. They've got to be quali laps from our Inters drivers. Razin is 3.2 seconds behind Matt 212 at the moment. So, yes, the time will be lost now, but he's looking for long-term gain because the drivers ahead of him will have to come into pit as Formula Kai runs a little bit wide through towards Puan. That could be the carrot that dangles in front of Gwatz as we make our way now through in towards Stefania for the 7th time of asking, making our way through here. We'll keep an eye on those sector times as well and see if there is some sort of crossover as we watch on Formula Kai make his way through in towards Stavilo. We'll get towards the second timing line here. Our Inters runners make their way across as Karim sets the purple second sector, 51.4 seconds through that second sector. Let's see what Razin does, 53.1. So still we're looking at 1.5 seconds difference through the sectors at the moment. But look at this now. This is Scotty Designs, by the way, up the inside of GB as we make our way through this long right-hander. And GB goes off the circuit. Is there damage to the front wing there potentially on the left-hand side? No, there isn't. It's just GB losing out there.
Yeah, I think he just got himself a little bit lost and ventured into the gravel trap, and there's the fastest lap from Karim as well. We've now got a pit stop now for Infratic, who comes into pit lane and will now drop down the order as he looks to change off the intermediate tyres. Obviously very conscious of the fact, I'm sure, that the slick runners are all around him, and this is smart here from Infratic. Obviously he's just trying to get the jump on those that are still out on the intermediates. Obviously he's going to lose out to Racid Chai and all the others that have already boxed onto the slick tyres. This is effectively, now hold your horses folks, Razin Chai, obviously your net leader, Hayden Gullis net P2, Tom 2.1 seconds back from behind them in net P3. Obviously this is all dependent on how things go when the other pit stops occur. As it stands, Formula Kai, damage limitation, is just trying to muscle in the best laps he can. What I will say, no improvements in the first sector for those on the Inters so far, bar Ps 4 and 5, that being that guy Vincent, Tom 97. They're still going green in that first sector based on the sector times we're seeing now. But Formula Kai, Gwatz, Karim 7T, both down on their previous best lap time. So now the struggle comes into play. The rain now, apparently, according to our telemetry screen, is saying rain all the time. Is that it for the slicks already?
Think as we look at TMF Marduk up the inside there of Lolinoba through in towards the double left-hander of Puan. Then he gets the move done, moves himself up into 12th place, and look at Alex Gillen and Meraki in the background as well, looking to feed off of the scraps of that battle as Lolinoba holds his ground. Then I would put the virtual hand out of the window. I don't think it's raining right now, so we'll keep an eye on the skies as TMF Marduk moves up into 12th place. His next target is Ponja, who's on the intermediate tyres, so he's going to be very, very slow there. Razin Chai has just gone fastest through sector 2. The dry tyres are now the quicker tyres. Formula Kai jumps into the pit lane. Gwatz stays out. Gwatz stays out, then so too does that guy Vince, and both Mercedes, of course, they'll share the garage. Maybe there was a breakdown there of saying, well, someone had to pit there, now none of us did, and they will most likely have to double stack if there is no more rain. Razin Chai now with the fastest lap of the race on hard tyres.
Obviously now the slick tyres coming into the groove, but obviously a discrepancy there on the timing screen where it says actually rain all the time. We can confirm, folks, there is no rain at the moment. As we now see, the DRS is now inactive, or it's now active, I should say, as opposed to being disabled, as they now head up through on lap 9 of 44, and it's Razin Chai, effectively your net race leader, and will inherit the lead as well as soon as Gwatz and that guy Vince come into the pits to change onto whatever tyres they choose to go for. Of course, Razin Chai opting for the very good race tyre that is the hards. Hayden Gullis all over his tail, still 6/10 between them as they now fly down out of down through Malmedy and through towards Ravage as well. There is Tiamat Marduk currently in the midst of a fight with Lolinoba and Alex Gillen. That's going to be a furious tussle between those three, and not to mention Meraki just in behind. Many of these drivers, former champions, not to mention former race winners around this circuit. Meraki and Tiamat Marduk both winning theirs in seasons 1 and 2, and then Alex Gillen came along in season 3. It was Razin Chai who won in season 4. Remember, no one who has won this race already has ever won it twice, or at least more than once. So we could be set to make history, and could we be set to make even more history given the nature of the fact that no one has gone on to win a championship title off the back of winning here at Spa. We could be in prospect of making major history this season in the Creator Series.
Major hex to put on over someone, isn't it? That's absolutely a major hex. And anyone who's won here doesn't win that year's title. Massive. Lolinova, though, did get back past Tiamat Marduk in that battle for 6th place as Gwatz pits in. So does that guy Vince. They will have to double stack. One of them should have pitted before, but of course they're not technically on the same team. Gwatz usually races for the Red Bull, and that guy Vince races for Aston Martin. So there will be the double stack as Hayden Gullis set the fast lap of the race, and then it was taken over by Tom, and now Lolinova. There goes Gwatz, who will rejoin on a set of hard tyres. That guy Vince will also re-emerge on a set of hard tyres, but there is Razin Chai, who leads the way then on some hard tyres. Hayden Gullis in 2nd place now on the mediums, but within DRS range.
Flying uphill, Gullis still very much within the aura, the zone of Razin Chai right now. There's only just within 0.6 between them. So they now fly it through towards Les Combes. Then another 2 seconds back, Tom, who has not really closed up that much through the course of this race so far. Of course, still largely embracing the Alpine car that he's been partnered with for such a long time, as we see some wheel-to-wheel action here between Gwatz and Zafso. Zafso pushed a little bit wide there coming in towards Malmedy, but now restores himself back in behind of the Mercedes this time. And of course, Gwatz now on fresh, hard tyres and hasn't actually fared too badly in all of this. P12, obviously a lap fresher than Tom 97. Not that that will make too much difference, but in comparison to Zafso and GB, that could yet make all the difference here now, Kieran.
Vince has been the big loser in this changeover. Down now to P18, 2.5 seconds off of Scotty Designs, by the way, who's picked up our first penalty of the race as we are on lap number 10 here in Spa-Francorchamps. There is Hayden Gullis, who's just about hanging on with fingernails on that DRS zone, but now he's just outside of that window. Razin Chai making our way now through in towards Blanchimont, and onwards then towards the end of this lap as we're approaching already a quarter race distance. Hayden Gullis there on the anchors into 2nd place as we make our way through, as Gareth is letting us know here in the production that Hayden's heart rate is up at 2,000. I wouldn't debate that. I wouldn't call out that was wrong at all.
I must say, he wants to be careful he doesn't get a nosebleed being up so high in the timing screen right now. Currently on 6-lap-old medium tyres. Of course, eventually they will dissipate as time goes on, as the delta drops. Obviously, Razin Chai doing a great job on the hards. Naturally, the mediums slightly softer, just enabling a little bit more grip for Gullis to work with through the course of this 44-lap race that we now are currently in the midst of. Now, here comes former champion Tiamat Marduk, twice over a champion, now tussling with Lolinova as these two furiously fight, coming in towards Les Combes. Lolinova with the Italian-based Ferrari car now coming through, and I'm sure the uproar's coming through out of Maranello. We'll be absolutely delighted with that stout bit of defending that Lolinova put in place. No answer to Tiamat Marduk's call of a P4 this time here on lap 11. He'll have to continue and try again next time, but it was a valiant effort as two former rivals, I should say, come together once again as Lolinova holds on to that 4th spot, chasing after Tom over 3rd.
Understandably, Lolinova's not going to give up that position without a huge fight, and as long as he's got the DRS from Tom up ahead of him, he gives himself a really good chance of holding on to that position. Here's a battle then with GB and Ricky as Infratic moves over, I think, to let Safso through. I think, what's Safso on? Hard tyres. Infratic is on the mediums, actually, so Safso's let Infratic through, which is a bold call, actually, because although they're both in Aston Martins, there's no teamwork between them. Infratic normally races for Ferrari, so that's who the points he will be scoring for. As Tom 97 and Karim 7T battling away for 10th place. There is Tom, who on the timing screens moved ahead of Karim as we head our way through in towards the final chicane, then getting back onto the power. So that's Karim out of the top 10 as it stands. Alex Gillen up in 6th place there. So it's a good job from him so far, but Razin Chai leading the way and just trying to make sure he breaks the DRS from Hayden Gullis. Gullis is just about hanging on in there as the leaders make their way through up the hill and onto the Kemmel Straight. As Hayden Gullis, who will close in now with DRS. How about Tom 97? Then he's got Nick Flyers up ahead of him. He's got a great run here, has Tom 97. He'll have the DRS, and I don't think there's a lot that Nick Flyers can do about that one. Tom 97 gets his way up into P9.
Yeah, certainly does. Of course, season 7 race winner around this circuit, now 9th place in our timing screen. Ricky 03 still 13th, as well as Karim now moves ahead of Nick Flies. And on the run down through towards Rivage, he's now inside the top flight points paying positions. Obviously now chasing after Tom 97. Of course, 8 tenths between those two. And Karim, no stranger to race wins, of course, in his history in this series. Of course, 9 times a race winner in the past with 13 podiums to boot. 28 races secured in his time in this championship. And, of course, coupling that with 8 pole positions, of course, it wasn't quite as easy in qualifying prior leading up to this very race. Is now Hayden Gullis, who has done a monumental job here in the Red Bull to stay on the back of Razin Chai. Of course, the front two currently parts from the entirety of the Red Bull family. Of course, RB looked after by the parent company of Red Bull. They now fly down through towards the heavy braking zone in towards the bus stop chicane, and it will be Chai who leads the way by just under 7.5 tenths, with Lolinoba, who was actually relatively closer than this. Remember, he was just around the realms, well, Tom was around 2 seconds away. Well, Lolinoba now 2.6, so they're further back than where they were before.
Formula Kai now with the fastest lap of the race then in 8th place as Lolinova has now Tom right behind him. So Tom's managed to get away past Tiamat Marduk and now could try and challenge away for 3rd place as Lolinova taps the wall there. I think that's all the information the Dutchman behind him needs here. Through in towards Radion we go. We go into the slipstream, riding on board with Lolinova. Tom opens up the DRS. Where will he go as Lolinova parks it in the middle? Tom will surely go for a move down the inside. Look at Ben Daly as well. Tiamat Marduk trying to make some moves as well, trying to take advantage of this. Once again, Lolinova puts on and gets out the elbows. He's driving the widest Ferrari Formula One's ever seen and holding on to that 3rd place. There wasn't anything Tom could do about that one. We've got yellow flags. I think that's Punju there, who's got back going again just in the final sector. But Lolinova holding on to 3rd place, and all that's allowing is Razin Chai and Hayden Gullis to further extend their leads.
Got 2 rivals as well coming closer together. We're currently watching Alex Gillen, who's starting to curtsy his way towards the rear end of the Williams, belonging to, of course, former 2-time champion Tiamat Marduk. These two who have fought bitterly right through the course of this Creator Series Championship, season on season. We look back to Japan, we look back to Monza. Prior experiences where these two have come together, and it sometimes has ended in tears. It has ended in fury, but they meet once more. 6 tenths between them now as they rush through Blanchimont, and Tiamat Marduk all over the tail of Tom as they race down through towards the bus stop chicane. Side by side, the Aussie now goes for a run, takes a long way around coming through the first half of the bus stop chicane, and lifts himself into 4th now, and 1 step away from P3 inside the top 3. But first and foremost needs to dally with the source before then getting onto the back of the Ferrari belonging to Lolinova, who certainly isn't finding it easy out there. And just look at the turn of foot that Tiamat Marduk is able to enlist here and now, as now we have a safety car out on track, and Punju has lost it again.
Yeah, and he's lost it, or he's retired at least at Malmedy, unfortunately. So Bunju out of this race, our 2nd safety car of the race. And whilst you were talking about Tiamat Marduk and Tom, Williams and an Alpine fighting along with each other, Formula Kai and Meraki went side by side through Blanchimont there, side by side through and towards the final chicane. And Formula Kai managed to make the move stick on Meraki before the safety car was called out. Really good battling between both Williams and both Alpines there. Really great stuff. But with that safety car, once again, our leader, or leaders I should say in this case, who built up a fantastic lead, have that side down. They've got to do it all over again. Now the question is, with 14 laps in, those on the hard tyres have a decision to make. Obviously they'll probably stay on those hard tyres, but do any of our medium tyres blink? Can you make a set of hards last 30 laps? That seems a heck of a long way to make those tyres last.
I think, obviously, if you're Hayden Gullis, I think you're in a really bad spot here, because obviously he's currently on the medium tyre, 9 laps accrued on them, same for Lolinova as well, and also Tom. And even Meraki, who's only managed to rumble in 8 laps. Nick Flies has done the same. I think the big winner in all of this really is Formula Kai, and also arguably Tom 97, because they've both only accrued 5 laps on their tyres. Karim's done the same as well, and more so as well. The man down in 11th place, Guats, on 4-lap old hard tyres. So they, in my view, will look to stay out. They can elongate the stint on this tyre. This could eventually open up perhaps a move onto either a set of mediums, or maybe even you might get some that gamble for a set of softs late on. There is huge opportunities for those that are on the 5 or 4 lap old hard tyres. I would say even those that are on the 9 lap old hards, Timo Malik might find that a little bit tricky come the end of play. Rasin Chai already keen to get those 9 lap hards off. If you're Formula Kai, I bet you he'll stay out.
See what happens then. As just as predicted, George. You've seen this script before, haven't you? Formula Kai will take over the lead of this race then, as Rasin Chai makes his way into the pit lane with quite a handful of cars also pitting in. Another set of hard tyres for Rasin Chai then. So he's looking to try and, well, get those hard tyres as far as possible now, and possibly see what he can do. Will there be another safety car in this race? I mean, we've had 2 already. I wouldn't really rule it out for a 3rd safety car in this race. But Formula Kai then will take the lead. Tom 97 in 2nd, Karim now in 3rd place, Gwatz now in 4th, as we see a very, very busy pit lane. Alex Gillen did pit in. He's rejoined on a set of medium tyres, and he rejoins in 12th place, our championship leader, heading into this one. Rasin Chai rejoins in 5th place. So in essence, for Rasin there, that's not many positions lost for much fresher tyres that he can use in this sort of, well, I was going to say 2nd stint. It's more like a 3rd stint now in this race. But he's got fresher tyres, 5 or 6 laps fresher than those up ahead of him. So he could make some moves and, more importantly, see what he can do on a fresh set of boots.
Absolutely right. I mean, it's now opened up a little bit now for Hayden to a certain degree, but it's a bold move to go onto the medium tyre once again. I think at the moment, if you want to see where the tyres have really gone and moved across, I think if you're one of those drivers that's moved off the mediums onto the hards, I think they're definitely going to be the ones that are going to be cheering right now. Meraki not in a bad spot at all, really, down in P13. Fresh, hard tyres at this moment during the race. If he's careful, he can take out a huge amount of this race. Obviously, in this 44 lap in total adventure we have here around Ardennes, 15 laps have already been concluded. I think Meraki's going to be one to watch, I think, for the second half. It's a bold move for Alex Gillen to move on to a medium tyre, but then again, he's already ran a hard stint. He's already been on the inters as well. Obviously, they've conformed to the tyre rule that they have to obviously work with through the course of this race. So again, Gillen could be a force later on. He might go for a double medium run if he's got another set of tyres available to him. Second from that, he might even choose to go on a set of softs if he's got a set of softs available. That is, of course, another eventuality that we might have to consider. But this gives a huge opportunity, huge chance to the likes of Formula Kai. And I want to pick out Tom 97 as well, who is very well placed, and Karim not too far behind. It could be an absolute blockbuster between those two in this, essentially what is their second stint and the third stint for all others around them here. It's going to be truly monumental. I personally don't know who's going to come out on top in all of this. No doubt, though, those that have already seen out 6 laps on their hard tyres, they will have to box again, no question. They will have to come in. I do wonder whether we're going to be seeing maybe a few drivers risk it for a biscuit and try and go long on their hard tyres.
A hard pun to digestive, but we'll move on. Yeah, I will say as well, Hayden Gullis rejoining on a set of medium tyres, so he's going for double mediums as well, so he doesn't have to use the hard tyres because we started in the intermediate, so you no longer have to use 2 sets or 2 different types of dry tyre in this race. But I think he'll probably put on a set of hard tyres towards the end of this race, or at least towards the midpoint of this race, so he can try and run towards the end. But I think right in the back of drivers' minds, they will be looking at, is there going to be another safety car in this race? We've had 2 already. That's sort of in the back of your mind, but all you can do is react to the here and now. GB has stayed out on his 10-lap-old hard tyres. He's got the hardest, or I should say the oldest tyres on the grid right now, and we'll see what he can do from that position. But yeah, Formula Kai takes over the lead of this race, which is what he had in the intermediate period.
Yep, absolutely right. Of course, as the yellow flags continue to be waved, Bernd Mailander in the Aston Martin safety car right now. Obviously just taking the cars around so far as we now await for the green flags to erupt once again. It's Formula Kai at the head of the order with Tom 97 in behind. Of course, this could be a very compelling moment in the championship. Karim 70 currently ahead of Alex Gillen. Alex Gillen some ways down in the bottom echelons in terms of our classification, but that could all change come the end of this. Bear in mind, he will not have to conform to the tyre rule right now because, of course, that's already been conformed to, given the fact that we have been out on the inters, as Kieran so rightly said. We've got confirmation the safety car is in this lap. and we will be getting back underway very shortly. We're running on board here with Tom 97, of course, a winner around this circuit before, as we mentioned back in Season 7, but altogether in 37 starts, this being his 38, 11 wins have come his way with 23 podiums in total, 12 pole positions as well. If you want a race win, Tom 97 is your man to get it, with Formula Kai looking to register yet another big weekend in his own right. Of course, 22nd start today with no wins currently registered, but 4 podiums historically, and would very much love to add his first win to his tally here and now this season. Lap 16 of 44. Kai now coming in towards the bus stop chicane. Tom 97 running a little bit wide of the apex, though, coming through the first half of the bus stop as we put pedal to the metal for the 3rd time in this race now. Formula Kai racing down through towards La Source. As now in comes now Tom 97 with Karim for company. That's the last driver you want on your tail, and surely given the momentum in the Kick Sauber's favour, it will lead to potentially Karim taking the big prize here this time. Kai has been allowed 1 second of delta in between he and P2 right now. Gwat's waiting in the wings for his chance to strike as now they climb up through the Kemmel Straight, but just look at the gap now that Tom 97 is bringing to the table. Karim now looking to join him. Further back we have got the Ferrari of Lolinoba all over the back of Hayden Gullis as they fly through towards the source once again, and it's still on lap 17, Formula Kai leading the way, 8.5 tenths between Tom 97 and Formula Kai. No changes so far, but Lolinoba looking very aggressive as the restart gets underway.
Yeah, looking to try and find a way past Hayden Gullis then, but yeah, Tom 97, I don't think it wasn't necessarily got caught out. I think he just made a mistake, locked a brake. He ran deep into the first part of that final chicane. That really compromised his run. He managed to hold on to the position and then use the slipstream, the tow from Formula Kai down the Kemmel Straight to reel him back in towards DRS zone. And of course, we'll have it at the end of this lap as there's a Mercedes looking at the inside. That's that guy Vince on the inside of Tom then as we make our way through in towards Lafania as I think the Williams has the Alpine has just about held on to that position. Yes, Tom holding on to 10th place right now, but look at right behind. It's Alex Gillen through in towards the right-hander of Stavilo we go, and onwards then towards Corbett Paul Fair, and then we'll head our way towards Blanchimont with all of that dirty air surrounding you. We're going side by side. Hayden Gullis and GB going side by side for good measure, and that's Hayden Gullis up into 6th place now on those medium tyres as he makes his way through in towards the chicane. He'll get the power down. Currently now in 6th place. DRS is now enabled again.
Lovely run there from Hayden Gullis on the fresher medium tyres. And now on the back of Rastin Chai, this time around GB with Lolinoba for company, and that is certainly company he doesn't want to keep. As Lolinoba in the Ferrari will have no qualms in getting moves done. Of course, Lolinoba a proven podium sitter as well in his own right. Had a very major coming together with Karim back at Miami, going back a season or so ago, where they both crashed across the line. As then they fly uphill, as Alex Gillen now displaces that guy Vince over P11, so 1 step away from the top 10, as now they rush through towards Lecom once more, eventually to arrive through towards Malmedy here on lap 18 of 44. Gullis just under 7 tenths or so away now from the driver in front of him, Rastin Chai. Now we see some side-by-side action further back. Tom at the inside of Timet Marduk as they rush through Rivage, and Tom will try and fight through in towards P9 as the aggressive inside line. Back through comes Benjamin Daly, looking to reply in just as well as they look to go wheel to wheel once more, but Timet Marduk able to defend the place and will now withstand the pressure. 9th place still remains in the palm of his hand as they come out of Huon.
Great battling for P9 then between Tim McMurdoch and Tom. Had their fair share of great battles out on track. Tom 97 though in the lead with Formula Kai in 2nd place. Karim now rounding off the top 3 with Gwatz in 4th, Razin in 5th with Hayden Gullis in 6th. Remember, Razin is on the fresher tyres than those ahead of him. He pitted in under the latest safety car. He has the freshest tyres, so we'll see what he can do with that offset of about 5 laps. With all of the others up ahead of him, but Formula Kai making his way in towards that final chicane with Tom 97 then will start lap 19 in the lead of this one, and we'll get back onto the power then, and there's still some battles to be decided up and down the field. Watch out of course for Alex Gillen, you can never rule him out, our championship leader. Nick Flies and Ricky and Iraqi, all of them sort of caught in this little bit of a trade at the moment. 17 cars all aboard, 17 carriages. We ride on board then with Tom 97 to make our way through Eau Rouge and up Ravillon, and then we make our way on towards the Kemmel Straight. With the DRS wide open, how close can Formula Kai get? Look at this, he's closing and closing. And Williams has got some good straight line speed. He'll look to the inside. No, he won't. He backs out of it, does Formula Kai. Perhaps just looking to fill the mirrors of Tom 97 for now.
A slight graze there between the Williams' front wing and the rear diffuser of the Haas just there, just half a second between them now as we watch as Lolinoba now looks to dance, heading around the long way round anyway, coming through Rivage, but ultimately very well defended by GB, who just had the inside covered off. So there was no approach there from Lolinoba, and again back onto the brakes. He looks to avoid the rear wing of GB's Haas. They now head down through towards the Pouhon section once more, this very high speed moment where you go downhill and then it tees up a run heading through towards the Lafanier chicane. It is still Tom 97 though in control at this moment in time, looking to register yet another victory in his back pocket, which will be win number 12. If he can pull it together. It's now a second between GB and Hayden Gullis as Lolinoba continues the pressure here on the back of the Ferrari as they now race through around the next double right-hander out of Campus and Stavelot through Corbeil-Paul-Frere. Blanchimont comes up next, the high-speed section, which can then lead to a big run heading down towards the bus stop, which I'm sure many drivers will look to take advantage of. Further back, Karim getting closer to the back of Formula Kai. Once again, the two, like I said, that raised heads and were at loggerheads as well, coming through the Miami race not too long ago. It's now DRS open for the pair of them, but I must say Karim looks vastly more threatening as Kai looks to drop off a little bit from the tail end of Tom 97 as they burst out of La Source once more and back on the throttle. Karim 17 based on the last lap, a 1:46.546. Wasn't quite as fast as Formula Kai last time out, and Kai, if anything, now finding a little bit of pace, climbing the hill, coming out of Eau Rouge and Radillon, despite the last lap being Tom 97's best lap so far. Also the best lap, meaning the fastest lap of the race here for Tom 97. We got wheel-to-wheel action further up as now Racing Chai. My goodness, Quartz making a mistake. Coming through towards, oh my goodness, that's a very dangerous re-entry as well. And back through comes Racing Chai as he looks to move into fourth and does so. Quartz just taking a little bit of a divergence, going off circuit, taking the escape road. And ultimately, I must say, the rejoin looked a little bit suspect. But through went Racing Chai. He took fourth away from him. It's RB into the top four.
Yeah, and Guat's also picking up a 3-second time penalty for that excursion as well, presumably because it was deemed he gained an advantage and has lost the position as well. But anyway, Guat's now down into 5th place, and with that 3-second time penalty, that'll have to be served at the end of the race. So that'll be hanging over him for the whole time. Tom, meanwhile, on the medium tyres, looking to try and see if he can find a way past Tim McMahon. GB might have lost DRS, or is just on the cusp of losing DRS to Hayden Gullis up ahead of him. And he's got to make sure he keeps that DRS, otherwise Lolinoba, Tim McMahon, Tom might have just, lining up there as Hayden Gullis once again going side by side with Watts this time. That's a lovely move from Hayden Gullis. He's loving passing people through into Blanchimont now. That's twice in this race alone that he's managed to find a move there. Hayden Gullis is well up for this.
I'm wondering whether he's brought Brendan Lee back into the fold like he did before at Japan. It does make you wonder a little bit heading down through towards turn one. We'll have to quiz that come post-race. Obviously, answers on a postcard, these folks, as now we watch them come out of turn one once again. Hayden Gullis all over the back of Racing Chai. Once more looking to try and dodge and weave past yet another combatant here in this 44-lap adventure we are taking through the hills of the Ardennes Forest and through the woods and the forests of Stavelot as well. We're watching Racing Chai fly uphill through towards Les Combes once more with Formula Karim in his mind's eye. Alex Gillen all over the back of rival Tim Marduk. Of course, the two of them, as I've said before, have come close together on countless occasions, but Tim Marduk doing enough to keep Gillen at bay. If you want a comparison in terms of what tyres they're on, it's hard tyres, 6-lap hard tyres here for Tim Marduk, and it's 6-lap medium tyres here for Alex Gillen. So by all intents and purposes, Tim Marduk doing a great job on the hards against those mediums that should arguably be that little bit quicker. But this is where the car offset comes into play. And the Williams, who could make a standing argument point for, arguably faster than the Kick Sauber, though Nico Hulkenberg might have something to say about that based on what we saw back at Silverstone as we watch them come down in towards the midway point of the circuit. Lap 21 of 44. Last lap was, of course, a green one for Racing Chai. He looks to try and close the gap on Karim at the moment. Arguably, though, inside the top 5, I want to say this, Racing Chai is not the fastest. Hayden Gullis is actually the fastest man out on track right now. 1:46.671 was his last lap, and he's 3/10 quicker than Formula Kai and nearly 3/10 quicker than Tom 97 as well. So Gullis, the one to watch.
Yeah, he's on those medium tyres. He's loving them at the moment, potentially saving the hard tyres until towards the end of the race. As we've seen, they are a good race tyre, are the hards. But meanwhile, we've got Nick trying to look up the inside here of Meraki. Doesn't quite go for it. Ricky, meanwhile, is looking to return the favour, as we've got Infratic there in 16th as well, looking to try and take advantage. Razinchai is closing on Karim as they make their way down now on towards the Kemmel Straight. We'll see if that's a position change for third place. But look at this as well. Ricky right now on the back of the McLaren of Nick Flies, as there is a position change. It's Razin trying to go around the outside, but Karim trying to dive it through as well. It holds on to third place, does the Sauber. But look at Razinchai all over the back of him as we cut back to Lolinova and GB battling away. GB with the oldest tyres on the grid right now, on the track, with at least 16 laps he's put in those hard tyres, I believe. Still absolutely rocking them out there, and still with good pace about them as well in the Haas. So he's looking to go long into this one. I suspect he's looking for a safety car, but look down the inside. I say that Tiamat Marduk down the inside of Puon then, and gets the move done. Tiamat Marduk now up into P8, GB down to P9.
And the onus is on GB now to get past, or should I say Alex Gillen to get past GB, so that he doesn't get too far detached off Tiamat Marduk and doesn't waste these medium tyres that he's got on his car. Currently Hayden Gullis on the same strategy as Alex Gillen right now, both sharing 7-lap all medium tyres. But Gullis quite a ways up the road as we now watch them come through towards the series of lefts and rights that do exist in this final sector before then taking the start-finish line once again to begin their lap 23 of 44. Now it's a move here from Hayden Gullis down the inside, this time of Rasinchai, as they meet coming through the final two corners here on lap 22. As now they cross that line now, it will be turn 1 next coming up, and it's Hayden Gullis ahead of Rasinchai. Red Bull meets RB, and it's the Raging Bull that's on top between these two now, as now they pirouette coming out of turn 1 and through towards turns 2 and 3 with Eau Rouge and Radion to come. Gullis up next will be Karim in a battle over the podium places this time around, and it looks like it could be one and done here now for Gullis as then they fly uphill here on Kemmel. He's already disposed of one RB. He's now going to take down a Kick Sauber, wheel to wheel coming through towards Laycom, wide and around the outside, leaves it late though on the brakes, and this will open the door here for Rasin Chai. Around the outside, through goes Chai, back into fourth as well. He was far too overzealous, Hayden Gullis, on the brakes, and therefore Rasin Chai needed no invitation. Back through into P4. Normal service has been resumed.
Yeah, you don't give that opportunity to Razinchai to get the position back, but yes, Gullis, who was on the charge and challenging for that position to get up into the top 3, has rather put himself a little bit on the back foot with that one. He'll have to cool down the tyres as well. Now he's back in towards that dirty air. They've locked up the brakes there potentially, but he's only dropped that one position back to Razinchai. He's not out of it completely, of course. We know he's got the pace on those medium tyres. I do wonder if this is going to be one of those races where Gullis just pulls out another set of mediums and says, oh, I've had these all along to get the way through. He's only run medium tyres for dries. Of course, we had the intermediate tyres running, so he has no obligation to run any other compound in this race. He could run mediums all the way through, but of course we've seen the mediums can start to fall away, of course, but we are past the halfway mark in this race. We will keep an eye on how aggressive that tyre strategy is from Gullis. Meanwhile, then Tom97 crosses the line to lead another lap here in Belgium. Down in towards the first corner we go. 21 laps to go, 20 and a bit if you're picky. Tom97 leads from Formula Kai, Karim 70 in third place, Razinchai in fourth, Hayden Gullis in fifth, Gwatz in sixth, with Lolinova in 17th, and Marduk in 8th place, GB in 9th, and Tom rounding off the top 10 as we see a Ferrari getting up close and personal with a Mercedes. That's Lolinova, who's looking to try and find a way past Gwatz as Tom97 breaking the toe. Lolinova looking to try and make the move on Gwatz, which he has done. Lolinova moving up to 6th.
I do wonder whether there's value here in Gullis actually boxing early, as we just witnessed a little bit of a moment coming through towards Lake Com. And indeed, I think Tom has lost out to that guy Vince, and we've got a big thoroughfare of cars coming through as well, with Tom right in the heat of battle with Infratic as well at the inside. Damage sustained, and look at this from Tom into the barrier, and that's a retirement straight away, and a safety car is being called out. And just as I was about to say, is this the opportune moment now for the likes of Hayden Gullis to maybe come in a little bit early? Now is definitely the right time to embrace the hard tyre and potentially here, Kieran, to take it to the end.
there'll be questions raised there. Was a little bit of contact, a little bit of argy-bargy, but it's meant that the Dutchman is now out of the Belgian Grand Prix. Now then, of course, once they get to the pit lane, they'll have about 20 laps to go. Those on the mediums will surely look for hard tyres to get themselves to the end there. Those on the mediums will count this as a blessing in disguise. Those on the hard tyres, well, if they've got another hard set, they'll probably chuck it on. If they've got mediums, they'll probably chuck those on too and hope for the best at maybe another safety car. This is, again, where the driver experience, the strategy all comes into play. And the worst possible position to be in is leading the race, because you've got to make a decision on your own. Tom97 decides it is time to get into the pits and get those tyres off. In fairness, they are 15-lap-old hard tyres.
Yeah, I'm kind of shocked actually to see that Hayden Gullis has not decided to come in. Why on earth he's decided not to, I have no idea. I have to say I was expecting him to come in straight away, unless he doesn't have another set of hards available. Though I will say this, he hasn't actually used a set of hards just yet. Both stints have been filled with the medium tyre, so I have no idea what he's decided to do there. Rasin Chai, 10 laps accrued on his. Whether he should have come in, I arguably think he should. At the end of the day, if everyone else comes in, really, your best counteraction is to come in as well and just kind of cover off what's going on around you. Right now, of course, you can just see the 8 cars up at the very top that have all now positioned themselves onto 10-lap-old tyres. They will not be able to go to the end unless they save them, really. And you've got those further back as well who are going to be on fresh tyres. They can push it to their heart's content. Kai risking it slightly for that medium tyre. Tom97 on the hards as well. I think what we'll do, why don't we throw to T-Dub? T-Dub, are you there?
Hello, George. How are you doing?
Very good. How about yourself? You enjoying the show?
I am. It's been rather exciting so far. We've had some very good battles. Third safety car. For people that have just joined us, I'll give you a quick-ish rundown of what's happened so far. And it was a swap at the start that set the sequence for the opening salvos. Kai passing Gwatz into turn 1, P1 and 2 trading places, and that unleashed the Williams as the pair of them pulled away from the chasing pack. And we had the 4 championship protagonists. They found themselves squabbling over the same scraps of track in that first stint, and a Razin mistake rolled out the red carpet for the Saubers to stroll on through. He fought back with a spirited response, but couldn't prevent Alex Gillen following Kareem 7T through. And then safety car number 1 came as Punju spun, lost his front wing, and brought Bert Mylander onto the track. And that split the strategies. Razin, Tom Beener, Hayden, Ben, Lolanover and Scotty all sticking on the slick tyres, despite the rain still steadily falling from the sky. And a lap later, well, I think we knew what the right decision was, because Gillen, GB, Meraki, Nick Flies and Safsa all following suit, relinquishing that track position to try and steal a march on the drivers ahead, who did trust in the green-striped intermediates. The ambition for those was to pull that 30-second gap as the track began to dry, banking on the rain lingering, but the skies cleared and the gap opened to just 8 seconds as those leaders then conceded. And that left Razin to take ownership of P1 somehow from Hayden Gullis. And that may be the order that we have at the moment, but quite a lot has happened in between lap number 10 and where we sit now. The grip began to improve once the safety car came in. It was the boys in blue, it was Ben and Kai, both in the Williams, giving their rivals the blues as they clawed back crucial time and positions. Tom Beener, Meraki and Tom97, just a few of them that were halted in their assault, but it was Punju halting their assault in turn as he slammed it into the barriers at Lake On, bringing out the second safety car and a further flurry of pit stops. Razin, Hayden, Ben and Gilliam among those jumping into the pits for another fresh set of boots, and that recycled to Kai leading the way once more. Tom97 and Kareem then jumping up into the top 3. Sluggish restart for Tom, but he managed to bounce back, taking the lead from Kai as a number of drivers started to struggle. Gwatz with a couple of mistakes, GB struggling on some very subpar rubber. Hayden Gullis, we're questioning whether it is actually Hayden Gullis or whether it's Brendan Lee that's jumped back in, gliding through the field, sliced past Razin, tried to put some manners on the reigning champion, but Kareem 7T put an end to that one. And now we find ourselves where we are now, a big battle between Alex Gillen and Tom Beener going into Lake Com, locking horns and getting a little bit too entangled, bit of damage, time lost, and Tom eventually chucking it into the barriers.
There we have it. Thank you so much, Tom. Obviously, the big question is again, and I'm going to bring this back in here at the moment, Kieran. I mean, obviously, given the nature of the way we're strung out right now, we've got Hayden Gullis on 11 lap all mediums, Alex Gillen also in the same position. I would arguably say they've made a mistake.
Yeah, I would as well. I mean, how long do they think those medium tyres are going to last? That's going to be, the all-important question. You've got Tom97 as Karim's got a 10-second penalty for a collision with Formula Kai. That's huge for Karim there as he lets Gwatz through. Maybe some sort of safety car infringement there, but that is massive for Karim. If there is another pit stop he needs to make, he'll be able to serve a 10-second penalty as well. And Tom Wilkinson is telling us that there's damage for Karim as well. So not only is there a penalty on it, but there's also damage. We've got a safety car coming in. Who cares what point I was trying to make before? That's huge in the sense of a championship battle, especially with Karim.
Well, I mean, at this point now, if you're Alex Gillen, you can breathe a sigh of relief, arguably, because at the end of the day, your points gap is likely to remain vastly wide in your favour, despite obviously the strategy perhaps not working out the way it probably should be. I mean, 11-lap old medium tyres to get to the end of a 44-lap race. That is a very bold call from Alex Gillen. I mean, whether he's deciding to go to the end, I don't know. I'd highly doubt it, just given the nature of the lateral load you put on the tyres every time you move your way around this high variance of corners you meet here at Spa. As now we watch as Rasin Chai makes his way out of the final corners, and now coming through out of turn 19, he's going to put pedal to the metal for the 4th time in this Grand Prix now, and it will be Chai heading down through towards turn 1 with Hayden Gullis in second. Lolinoba also locked into the rear as well, and Lolinoba could become the thorn in the side now for Hayden Gullis as we ride on board now with the Italian inside his Italian Ferrari all the way, of course, from Maranello as it looks to take on the beast from Milton Keynes, that being Hayden Gullis' Red Bull, as they now curtail uphill with the power of DRS not open just yet because, of course, we've just come back after a safety car, and now it's wheel-to-wheel now between Lolinoba and Gullis on the run-up through towards Les Combes. Late on the brakes here from Lolinoba, and the Italian flexing those muscles there in the Ferrari, heading through Malmedy. It is now second place in the pocket of one Lolinoba, chasing down Rasin Chai over a potential victory, which could yet come between those two drivers on the hard tyres. A late move here from Gwatz up the inside of Scotty Designs, by the way. Wheel to wheel they'll meet. Red Bull and Mercedes meet again, this time here in 2025 cars, and a beautiful run from Gwatz around the outside, but can he keep it together coming through Pouon? Because Scotty's going to test him. Is he going to come out on top? Gwatz will. Scotty down in 11th.
Great stuff, great battling there between Gwatz and Scotty Designs, by the way. There's the other Mercedes, that guy Vince, trying to make a move then on GB, which he does. That guy Vince now moving himself up into 13th place. We've got reports that Karim has damage. Yes, you see on the left-hand side of his front wing, that front wing end plate is gone. So he's going to be losing downforce through the medium and high-speed corners, which around Spa-Francorchamps is less than ideal. We've got battling. Tom97 is trying to make a move on Infratic, and that is done just before Blanchimont. And there you can see the Williams of Formula Kai also following suit. He says, thank you for opening up the gap, Tom97. I will totally follow you through there. As Tom97 and Formula Kai try to side their way through the field on the freshest tyres in the field. And Tom97, of course, first lap back racing, now sets the fastest lap of the race. Lolinoba here on the back of Rasin Chai. Lolinoba, by the way, started this race from P19. He's now second place and challenging Rasin Chai for the lead of this race now. DRS will be online and be at full use for Lolinoba in the Ferrari, and he breezes past. There's nothing Rasin Chai can do. Lolinoba takes over the lead of this race, having started from 19th place. Meraki also getting past Hayden Gullis then. Meraki up into 4th place with Hayden Gullis down into 5th, and that hard charging from Gullis, perhaps the tyres sort of reaching their sell by an expiration date. Alex Gillen in 6th place there, looking to see if there's a move on there going in towards Brussels. There isn't as they head away through towards X corner. I just wonder for Gullis and Gillen, they're obviously waiting for another safety car so they can put on a new set of fresh tyres and don't have to worry about pitting again. As that's Hayden Gullis getting a little bit out of shape through towards Pouon there. He gets away with it. But yeah, they're the oldest tyres on the grid, along with Infratic, Scotty Designs, by the way, and Sasso, are all on 13 laps. Our leaders are all on 13 lap old tyres. It's an interesting, bold call, but we've got battling to be done still, as that's the Haas there of GB and Karim battling away. GB gets ahead. Can he stay ahead? That's the next question.
Well, out of Maranello and Faenza, it was Maranello that roared higher and louder as well. 6/10 clear now of Rasin Chai as Lolinoba leads this race here at Spa. Tim Marduk also on the same life of tyre. in the Williams, 1.2 away, and the fact that they've broken DRS between 2 and 3, that's all the better for the front two right now. Formula Kai currently doing battle with Alex Gillen, who's furiously trying to at least maintain his position out on course. He needs to retain DRS and all the runners now as Gwatz has a little look down the inside of Formula Kai. That guy Vince with the fastest lap of the race has now pulled himself back up into 11th, and on that fresh medium rubber, he is the highest man on the new tyre. Well, no, third highest man on the new tyres. I made that the fourth highest man on the new tyres because Tom 97 is the third highest behind Gwatz and Formula Kai. As now they charge uphill once again. Rasin Chai back past Olinoba for the race lead. So now the RB is now back in front coming through Lecom. Alex Gillen ahead of Hayden Gullis this time. So Gillen not going down without a fight. Gullis now losing positions here and now with Formula Car on his tail with 10 lap fresher tyres as they now charge down through towards Rivage, and up through the inside goes Formula Kai into P6, and Gullis had no answer against those fresher medium tyres.
Nice move from Formula Kai. Next target for him is Alex Gillen as they make their way towards Pouron. We ride on board now with Gwatz as he makes his way through in towards Pouron here. Still on the back of Hayden Gullis, but look at this run that Gwatz has here. Looks to the left-hand side of the track as we make our way through in towards Lefania. Around the outside, but there's contact, and Hayden Gullis goes into a half spin. Tom 97 goes into the side of him. Now, I don't think there was really anything Tom could have done about that one, as there's damage to the front wing. Emphatic, there's damage to the front wing there. Did I get that wrong, I wonder? Did Tom 97 get the damage there? I thought he did, but there you can see GB now will fly past. Nick Flies will fly past as well as we head on our way through. But yeah, Emphatic there caught up in that scuffle as well.
Yeah, looks like the damage was actually sustained by Fabio, obviously careering into the back of a stricken Hayden Gullis in the middle of the track, coming through the Lefania chicane, so that's really unfortunate. Karim also rooted to the rear, just trying to battle with Matt 2 and 2 at the moment in his debut F1 start here in the career series, as now he watches Rasin Chai, now race leader again, race leader restored with Olinoba on his tail, and Tiamat Marduk, vitally enough, has actually crawled himself back to within DRS on the front two. So now what was a two-car battle becomes a three-way fight. On the run-up now through towards Lecom again, and Lolinoba back through with ease, and back through past the RB. It's Lolinoba back in front, and Rasin Chai in second. I do wonder whether these two are working together here, because they're very well aware that there are those on fresher tyres being led by Gwatz that are distinctly faster. And if you want a comparison in terms of lap time, folks, last lap for Gwatz was a 1:46.565, and it was a 1:47.2 for Lolinoba, a 1:46.0 for Rasin Chai. So I think they're trying to levy the DRS in their favour, because Gwatz has no DRS, just so they can maintain their track positions at the front of the order. But we've got 14 laps to go. Can their tyres hold out in the top four?
As well as that, don't forget about Tiamat Marduk. He's closed up to Lolinoba and Rasin Chai as well. And Tiamat Marduk, having started from 17th place, he said, I'd rather take that Inter's pole and get the point and start a little bit further down, as Ricky lights up the rear tyres in a scuffle and a battle with Emphatic over 13th place. Remember, Emphatic has that front wing damage, so it was Emphatic that was collected in that. Tom 97 got away scot-free. It's a case of commentator can't see properly. Can you believe it? You can't get the staff these days. Lolinoba, though, leads the way then as we head away around and out of the final corner, with Rasin Chai in second place and Tiamat Marduk rounding off the top three. Meraki as well, just trying to claw his way back into DRS range as well as we head away in towards La Source. And Rasin Chai, look at that, much more confident on the brakes is Rasin as we head away on the descent down in towards Eau Rouge and then up through Radion for the 31st time of asking. Up they go then. It's a great angle to watch the cars just absolutely attack that fast. It is just a chicane. You try and take full throttle here. Will Rasin Chai be able to get the move done? How about in the background there? Will Gwatz get a chance to have a move on Meraki as Gwatz looks up the inside but decides against it on this occasion?
Well, Gwatz has now well and truly thrown himself into the potential win column for this excursion here at Spa, but obviously at the moment I do wonder how long those medium tyres are going to be useful in comparison to the hard tyres that are further back. Tom 97 still has a dog in this fight. He's currently second, or should I say third, in the new in terms of the new tyre compounds. As now we see around the outside Emphatic. Karim surely will get the move done, because Fabio's really struggling with that front wing at the moment after careering into the back of the Red Bull that belongs to Hayden Gullis. Of course, Gullis still remains in 12th, and now it's the sister Red Bull on the back of Fabio this time as they descend through Pouon. And And now look to the cars round, heading in towards the Lefania chicane. And look at the run here from Scotty Designs. By the way, heading down in towards the Lefania chicane. Late on the brakes, can certainly rest assured that he will move ahead of Fabio and into P16. But plenty of work to do. And don't forget, Scotty does have a penalty against his name at the moment, which certainly stands at 6 seconds at the moment, which will leave him fodder for Infratic and maybe Safso behind, because Safso does not have a penalty.
Yeah, and don't forget as well, Karim has that 10-second penalty, doesn't he, that he'll have to serve. And yeah, that's him down in 15th place at the moment. Lap 32 of this race. 13 laps to go here at Spa-Francorchamps. And there's your leader in Lolinova, Razenchai in second place. We ride on board with Gwotz then, who has a time penalty to his name. So it's even more important, it's even more vital that he gets these moves done and then has to try and build a gap to the likes of Formula Kai, Tom 97 and Dat Guy Vince. Alex Gillen now back up into 9th place, but under pressure from GB. Here comes Gwotz then with the DRS wide open. Meraki doesn't have DRS and Gwotz can fly through. Formula Kai will try and follow Gwotz through here as we head away in towards Lecom and Malmedy, and gets the move done then and moves himself now up into 4th place.
Well, at the moment, 4th place on the cards for him as we await the return of live pictures, but won't be too long, folks. But at the moment, it is purple in the first sector for Formula Kai. Right now, the best lap currently mustered in is currently the Mercedes that sits in 4th of Gwotz, who on those mediums has definitely made things work in his favour ultimately here at this very sensitive portion through the course of this race. As we said, lap 32 of 44 by all intents and purposes. 12 laps will remain at this point. No further rain expected either through the course of this racing, but more importantly, the air is 6/10 better than the car in front of him, the Mercedes in front, and so therefore looking to carry the speed through. 45.9 in the middle as well for GB as he looks to continue his route as well. He is largely quicker than Dat Guy Vince in 8th, so you never know on those fresher hard tyres. GB could become the thorn in the side of many as we now begin the next lap. Fastest lap taken this time by GB, as I said, 1:44.744, but a twitch there from the Mercedes of Gwotz as now he comes under fire from Formula Kai, who will have no qualms to get past. Currently, 2 Williamses are occupying 2 spots inside the top 5 ahead of Meraki. Of course, former Williams driver down in 6th, riding or racing in the Alpine for this particular race. As now they charge uphill once again. It's still Lolinova out in front, Razenchai in 2nd. As they now ascend through towards Lecom. Tim Marduk down in 3rd as well, just 7 tenths, between 6 and 7 tenths away. Dat Guy Vince through into 7th as well, past Meraki, and looks to move up in the Mercedes.
Yeah, he does, and looking to make good on some good momentum at the moment then, as Gwotz, yeah, that was more than just a loss of a back end there. That was a touch of the inside there of the wall in towards the first corner at La Source, and manages to get away with it though, and still with that penalty. Safso now gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple track limit warnings. Lolinova leads then from Razenchai in 2nd place, then it's Tim Marduk in 3rd, riding on board with Gwotz, who's currently in 4th place and on those fresh tyres as we make our way through in towards the back end of the circuit, through campus, and then we get away through in towards Stavilo for the 33rd time of asking. And Gwotz here might have a run as we head away onwards and upwards through in towards Courbevoie, and then we head our way through in towards that terrifying fast left-hander of Blanchimont, flat out through there. You don't have to think about it too much nowadays as we head our way down in towards the final chicane. Gwotz later on the brakes. Oh, that's a loss of control from Razenchai. He will lose out there to Tiamat Marduk. Getting back onto the power we go, and Tiamat Marduk moving up into 2nd place. That might allow Gwotz as well to get a position as well. It does. Gwotz now up into 3rd place. He says, thank you very much. I'll take a spot on the podium from you. Although with those 3-second time penalties, that'll be handed straight back to Razenchai in 11 laps time, if nothing else changes. But Gwotz is on a charge here.
He certainly is, but how long can these medium tyres hold out in terms of being this fast on track right now? Razenchai, though, looking to move back past Gwotz for that P3, and ultimately will, but also drags along Formula Kai as those that box onto the fresh tyres now meet, and Formula Kai now effectively, if we're talking pit stops, your net race leader, but needs to get through past Razenchai, Tiamat Marduk and Lolinova to take this lead spot. A huge opportunity has now come upon Formula Kai. We mentioned that the next step is, of course, a race victory. He's landed podiums before. Has he got the bottle to do it? He's on the tail of Ratin Chai now, heading down in towards Puon, and with every opportunity, with Tim Marduk also in second, also embracing the Williams. He is also within DRS on Lolinoba. It could be a field day for the Williams or the Grove organisation, as that we see them tie up coming through the Lefanier chicane. Tom 97 looking to dice now with Gwatz as they fly through the middle sector, and it will be Gwatz holding firm in fifth, as now Matt 212 receives a 3-second time penalty.
Yeah, I believe that might be his second one of the evening then, as getting to the latter stages of this one for Matt 212. Riding and looking on with our front runners, then Lollinova trying to break away. Formula Kai here is looking to try and see if he can find a move on Razin Chai. He thinks about a move in towards the final chicane, but then decides against it, looking to opt for a better run out of the final corner. Look at that line that Formula Kai took. It almost worked for him as well, but will he think about a move in towards the first corner at La Source? Not this time, and gets it all slowed down for the hairpin. 11 laps to go here in Spa-Francorchamps. It's Lollinova leading from Tim Marduk and Razin Chai, but then it's Formula Kai on those, well, I would say fresher medium tyres, but at some point, you're right, George, there's going to be the delta between the worn hards and the worn mediums. There'll be some sort of crossover where the hards might actually be the better tyre to be on. Tom 97 makes away past Gwatz. Formula Kai closing and closing on Razin Chai, but he's not quite close enough to try and move then in towards Lacom and Malmedy.
Yeah, and if I'm fearful of anybody right now here, Kieran, it's Tom 97. He is on the fresher hard tyres at the moment, sharing the same tyre life as Formula Kai. So Tom 97 now becomes the threat, and ultimately, I did pinpoint this earlier on, Tom 97 could be the wild card come the end of this race with just under 10 laps or so to go, 9 laps. Obviously in totality, if we're counting the maths in the top left-hand corner, as we're on board with that guy Vince descending downhill. Of course, the two Mercedes now banded together in 6 and 7, but now, unfortunately for Gwatz, I think it's going to be a lot harder for him to get past Tom 97 now, given the nature of where those hard tyres are probably, well, where they probably are in terms of the optimal temperature right now. Tom 97 is probably enjoying the grip a lot more than Gwatz is right now as they come through Campus and Stavolo once more. Not to say that those medium tyres are dead just yet, but obviously 10 laps on mediums as opposed to 10 laps on hards. I think I'd much prefer to be on that hard tyre as a yellow flag erupts in Sector 2. And it looks like, oh no, we've lost Hayden Gullis. Hayden Gullis in the barrier. He tried the soft tyre late on. And I did mention earlier on that his race was slightly compromised after not boxing where he arguably should have done. And now more so, his race has come to a grisly end with a 3-second time penalty to add salt in the wound. He is down in 17th place now after coming to blows on the soft tyres into the barriers. Now it's wheel to wheel between Kai and Razin Chai, looking to make it 2 Williams cars inside the top 3 and also make it a 2 and 3 as well. And it will be Kai up into third, but can Chai respond? He is right in the wheel tracks. Tom 97 also coming in to join the fight. Wheel to wheel, they nearly stay. They are wheel to wheel now on the run up through towards Lake Chai now looking to return the serve. Aggressive movements then further back as now Tom 97 arched his charge, looked for an avenue past Formula Kai, but he slammed the door shut. Therefore, Martinez was not able to move into 4th place.
Yeah, that was a slam and a half, wasn't it? You heard that slam from Zandvoorten back. But Razin Chai managing to hold on. Formula Kai also managing to keep his 4th place ahead of Tom 97. GB is also watching on from this one as we make our way through in towards the Puon, the double left-hander, as we now descend our way through now in towards Lefania. But Lollinova still leads the way. Tim Marduk in 2nd place. Razin Chai is just on the cusp of DRS ahead of Tim Marduk. He's got to remain within 1 second as we make our way through in towards the closing stages of this race. It's all calculated. How long can those hard tyres? We've got Lollinova, Tim Marduk and Razin Chai right now on 21-lap-old hard tyres. It will be 22-lap-old hard tyres once they cross the start-finish line. What about that guy Vince as well, who's closing on Gwatz as we head our way through in towards Blanchemont? Here's Tom 97 we ride on board with. There's so much battling action going on, it's hard to know where to look. But the two Mercedes are battling further back. Gwatz and that guy Vince. That guy Vince trying to get the move done then as they get back onto the power out of the chicane. We start lap 30 97 here at Spa-Francorchamps. And is there a move back for Gwatz? No, there isn't. Tom 97 down the inside of Formula Kai, and Tom 97 gets the move done. How about GB? He's able to take full advantage of that as well, and both houses move through. Formula Kai now down to 6th place as we head our way through in towards Eau Rouge and Radion once again for the 37th time in this race. This is going to be a bit of a tasty battle. Will Tom 97 have DRS then as we head our way down towards the Kemmel Straight, as neither Haas has the DRS, heading our way down in towards this next turn. They're so close together here, the two Haases of Tom 97 and GB. Tom 97 has the inside line then through in towards Malmedy, but it's GB on the outside as we head away down in towards Purcell. Will he have the superior grip? He gets a nudge from Formula Kai right behind him, but GB manages to hold on to the position. Then up into P4 goes GB. Tom 97 now 5th, Formula Kai in 6th place. I'll be honest with you, I've no idea how all three of them are facing the same direction.
I would argue that's great team interplay there between GB and Tom 97 just to keep that Williams at bay. And now this is basically thrown not just two Haases, but also two sets of the fresher hard tyres together inside the top 5. Now if you're Rasin Chai, you're probably squinting a little bit. You're probably a little bit nervous. And I must say, Rasin Chai could be nervous come the end of this race. 7 or so laps left to go here at Spa-Francorchamps. 44 laps will be completed soon enough, but the big question is, will it be GB, will it be Tom 97 at the head of the order come the end when the checkered flag ultimately gets waved? Lolinoba still embracing the lead right now, but Tim Marduk within 6/10 at this stage of the Ferrari as Williams and Ferrari meet again as they did back in the 90s. We saw the likes of Jacques Villeneuve take on the likes of Michael Schumacher. Does anyone remember Jerez? I certainly do. As they come out of turn 1 once again, lap 38 in full swing. They'll now charge up through towards Eau Rouge and Radion, half a second in between our two front runners, half a second back to Rasin Chai in the RB, the Haas of GB, Tom 97 as well in 5th place. We could see ultimately a massive change-up come the end of this race, as now those on the fresher hards now look to come home to roost. That guy Vince taking on Formula Kai, both sharing fresher medium tyres as they now meet together, coming through Les Combes. They tussle, they bang wheels, and it'll be that guy Vince into P6. Formula Kai in free fall as Meraki now launches up the inside of the other Mercedes of Gwatz now. Duggo Vince may have gained a place. Gwatz stands to lose one as well as in comes Nick flying through as well, coming in towards Jackie X, and it will be Gwatz who somehow, someway retains P8.
I thought Nick getting involved there, 3 wide on the exit there of Purcell. I was thinking the worst, but they all made it through. And you're right, Gwatz managing to hold off the attack of Meraki there. Brilliant stuff in the closing stages here at Belgium for the Creator Series here on F1 25. Meraki now might have to turn attack into defence just temporarily. Tim Marduk in 2nd place then. Rasin Chai in 3rd. Tim Marduk here. We were talking about, you know, form is temporary, class is permanent here. He's had a win in every single season so far of the Creator Series. He's yet to get off the mark in this season. Can he make it this time around? Nick flies then on the back of Meraki as we head our way through in towards the final chicane then for the 38th time of asking. Back on the power we go then. Is this a chance for Nick Flies? He's on 13 lap old mediums. Meraki's on 24 lap old hard tyres. Heading our way down in towards the source. There's no way through there. Not close enough as they head their way through in towards that first corner. Lolinoba leads the way though ahead of Tim Marduk. Then it's Rasin Chai in 3rd place. Those hard charging mediums seem to have just levelled on Delta with the hard tyres. Those on the 14 lap old hard tyres now have the momentum. We're talking GB and Tom 97. GB who's right on the back of Rasin Chai. There goes Nick Flies flying past Meraki and up into 9th place here. Those could be important points for not only himself, Nick Flies, but also for McLaren in the team's battle heading in towards the closing stages. Rasin Chai having to hold off the attack of GB in these closing stages as well, as GB fancies his chance, the momentum on his side to at least get him onto the podium.
Yeah, with 5 laps to go now, it's all going to unravel. GB, though, arguably in the best position out of anybody inside this top 5. Tom 97 much alike, though. The only difference between them is that, of course, GB has the trap position of P4 as a 10-second time penalty goes Hayden Gullis' way as he starts to speed through the pit lane here at this moment in time. So at the moment we've got 2 retirees. For those of you who've just joined us, Punju out, so is Tom. That's left us with 18 runners at the moment. Quite a few penalties have also been spread out as well, with Karim receiving 10 seconds as we saw earlier on, which could largely very much impact the championship as we make our way through the course of this mass calendar that will of course end at the Mystery Grand Prix in round 12. But it's still early days. We have got Hungary after this, then round 10, round 11 with big question marks against those. Plenty of points to be won and lost, but Lolinoba very keen to avoid losing any further points. Needs to try and muster in what could yet be a phenomenal victory to stand him in win number 3 right now, and could yet level with the likes of Tom, who is of course racing for the Alpine squad. As now we watch them head through towards Eau Rouge and Radion. Riding on board with GP on those 15-lap old hard tyres, 10 laps better than those in front of him. Racing Charm, 25-lap old hards. Team Martin the same, so is Lolinoba. And GB's getting closer. Of course, more synonymous with the mean green Aston Martin machine. He has ridden and driven this Haas, all dressed in white, black and red. He has driven it superbly. Lap 40, 4 or so laps to go. Diving down the inside, Lolinoba just trying to break out of the aero or trying to avoid providing slipstream to those cars behind. Timoet Marduk quite happy to remain on the line that he was carrying, remaining within 4 tenths. He is waiting, I'm sure, till the closing laps to launch an attack for a historic and what could be a sensational victory that would bring to him win number 16.
Yeah, 5 laps to go, 4 and a bit of your picky. GB running slightly wide on Poo on there, and that's allowed as well. Tom 97 has had a huge amount of pace in that middle sector, really closed up to the back of GB. He was about 1.2 seconds behind GB at the start of this lap. He's absolutely closed up the gap like there's no tomorrow. With 5 laps to go, 4 and a bit of your picky. At this stage then, GB needs to just keep one eye on the wing mirrors as well, with Tom 97 right behind him in these closing stages. But Lolinoba leading the way, started P19. Timoet Marduk in second place, started P70. It's been a remarkable drive for those two, regardless of what happens towards the end of this race. With Lolinoba holding on to that lead, we head our way through in towards the final chicane to start lap number 41. 4 laps to go here. About 28 kilometres for our drivers to face here at Spa-Francorchamps. That's all that's left on the odometer.
Yeah, Tom 97 was very committed as well through the second half of that bus stop chicane as we rode on board with him. Coming out of turn 19, took a lot of the race curb there on the left-hand side, which will obviously unsettle the car to a certain degree, but it's not harmed him. Still remains within 3 tenths of a second on his own, should we say, teammate here and now, GB, in terms of the two Hasses now being manacled together. And it looks like they're going to go wheel to wheel on the run up through towards Laycom as well, and they certainly will. Tom 97 keen to get the place one and done. GB's going to fight him tooth and nail, and running wide of the apex goes Tom 97, and that will of course allow GB to have a little bit of respite now and hold on to that 4th place. So that is essentially a warning shot fired to GB, who almost certainly must now think and consider about taking the fight to Racing Chai, Timoet Marduk and Lolinoba to at least give him a chance at a race win in 3 or so laps time.
Yeah, and that's also allowed that guy Vince as an invitation to the Mercedes to try and see if he can get some moves and orders up towards the end of this race. 16-lap old medium tyres for that guy Vince at the moment as we head towards the closing stages. As Nick Flies gets himself a 3-second time, and that will drop him outside of the points as it stands. And those are really important points for both himself and McLaren at this stage, with both Nick Flies and his teammate Alex Gillen not outside of the point. It's not going to be a great day for McLaren, at least in the Grand Prix point scoring persona. But Lolinoba leading here, Timoet Marduk perhaps just waiting, maybe recharging the battery, just making sure he stays within DRS range of Lolinoba, not making sure that Razin Chai gets past and waiting till the last possible moment. Meanwhile, here goes Hayden Gullis looking for a move on Infratic there. Infratic goes defensive, heading away in towards Laycom. They go, and on the much fresher tyres, Hayden Gullis gets the move done on Infratic and moves his way through. There goes GB up the inside there of Razin Chai down at La Source. They get back onto the power. Is this an important move? A move that needs to be made for GB, and he does get it done. GB up into the podium places now. His next target, Timoet Marduk. He's in P3 with 3 laps to go.
And this is him doing the necessaries. And when I mean necessaries, I mean now making the moves to put him in what could be yet potentially a race-winning opportunity. As then they come through in towards Laycom. It's Lolinoba who still leads. Timoet Marduk just waiting in the wings, but now the threat becomes looming, and it's getting larger upon looming GB getting closer. Meraki getting past Nick Flies as well over P9. We've got more movements elsewhere. Alex Gillen past Matty 212 as Gillen has also taken the fastest lap of the race, but obviously embracing the brand new fresh soft tyres as well. Ricky up into 10th. Scotty Designs, by the way, moving up into 12th. Lots of jostling for position. Incidentally, Hayden Gullis and Infratic still doing battle. Gullis determined to obviously put salt in the wound of Infratic, who unfortunately was the one who crashed into the back of him earlier on through the course of the race that led to, of course, Fabio having to come in to get his wings sorted out. Of course, Gullis now moving on to softs, and looks like Fabio might have got the upper hand on this occasion, moving back into 16th as now he watches GB rises through Campus and Stavilo. Corbe Paul-Frere coming up next, half a second between GB and Tim at Marduk, as we now get set to dally onto the penultimate lap of the race with Lolin Ober 4/10 in front of Tim at Marduk, who, as I said before, might be looking for a last lap attack, a last lap assault, go all in, stack all the chips to the centre of the table, just like Rasin Chai might be considering right now as well, as he looks down the inside, or should we say the outside this time, of Tom 97. Of course, Tom 97 able to defend that spot, but now as we rise through, penultimate lap of the race now in full swing, out of La Source, Lolin Ober leads, Tim Marduk in second, but for how much longer with these two Hasses in behind?
Yeah, Tom 97 getting the move done, moves himself up now into P4 and gives himself a fighting chance. But look at that guy Vince right behind as well. Yes, he's got a 3-second time penalty to be added to the end of his race, but he wants to get past Razin Chai here. He's closing on the RB ahead of him, looks to the outside line as we head away on towards Les Combes and on towards this chicane, this fast chicane here. Still side by side they run. Razin Chai has the inside line. They touch wheels, but that guy Vince does make his way through on the exit of Malmedy, and look at that, round the outside tries Formula Kai in towards Brussels, but he can't quite pull that one off as we make our way now through in towards Jackie Ick's corner. Alex Gillen now moving up into 11th place, but he's 16 seconds away from those all-important points. There's Tim Marduk then on the back of Lolin Ober with about, I would say, probably about 12 kilometres, maybe 11 kilometres left of this race. It's Lolin Ober who leads. He's been leading for some time here, and there's the case of Tim Marduk just biding his time, waiting until the last possible moment to get the move done. But will he have to have the hurry up, because GB is now riding his tail on those fresher tyres, as I think that's Infratic who's off at the final chicane. We shall find out as what soon our drivers will cross the line for the penultimate time, I should say, to start the final lap of the race.
A little reminder as to how the tyres sit as now they come down in towards bus stop. It's 28 laps on the hards for Lolin Ober and Tim Marduk, soon to be lap 29, soon to be 29 laps put on them as now they catch up with some of the back markers. We're now on the final lap of the race here at Spa, and in comparison to those top two who are on 29 lap old hard tyres, it's 19 lap old tyres for GB and Tom 97, so 10 laps between them in terms of tyre life. Who's bravest? Here at Eau Rouge and Radion. Lolin Ober getting past the lap traffic and moving comfortably past Infratic as well. And also looking to follow suit is GB, who's going to get past Tim Marduk as they look to tussle over P2 now. And this, at the moment, badly timed Fabio now moves onto the grass. It's wheel to wheel now over second place as now GB dares to dream and lofts himself up the inside. But Tim Marduk committing as well to the corner and remains in second place as they don't dive down towards Rivage. And Lolin Ober's been handed a severe respite, nearly a whole 3/4 of a second ahead, and is now looking to consolidate a potential victory once more here in the Creator Series, here and now at the legendary Spa-Francorchamps circuit.
Yeah, he's going to try and break the toe. He'll try and run away as fast and as far as he possibly can. He was waiting for that scrap between Tim Marduk and GB to give him some sort of breathing space heading into the closing stages of this race. But Lolin Ober, from 19th on the grid, is but a couple of kilometres away from wrapping up what has been a fantastic race for the Italian stallion. Amazing stuff as we make our way in towards the closing stages.
As they now peel through the Blanchimont section, the Maranello roar, I'm sure will be heard, I'm sure, all the way from Italy, where we generally hear it in Monza, but the Tifosi travel. And this man, very well travelled, Lolin Ober, coming through the bus stop chicane in race number 33. He will take race win number 3 in the Creator Series. Lolin Ober wins the Belgian Grand Prix ahead of Tim Marduk. A great performance to land a massive P2 blow, with GB68 unable to lock the Williams door. He now seals the deal on another podium, but P3 he'll be wondering what if could it have been a victory? Tom 97 in 4th, Rasin Chai finishing in 5th, Formula Kai in 6th, and that guy Vince in 7th, Quats in 8th, Ricky 03 in 9th, Alex Gillen somehow into P10 with Nick Flies down in 11th, Scotty Designs, by the way, in 12th, Karim 17 in 13th. We've lost Maraki already, he's retired, he's dropping down the order, and Karim in 17th, but apparently he is in 10th place in accordance to our producer in our ear as well. Matt 212 in 14th, Zafso in 16th, and Infratic down in 17th place as well. Lolinova, though, your victor once again, as we now watch as Zafso makes his way around the track and heading down through towards Rivage right now. Of course, Lolinova doing a wonderful job to coop up that massive 3rd win of his time spent in the Creator Series and making that podium number 6 as well on top of that to boot. And whilst, of course, the stats will continue, we've had yet another different winner here of the Belgian Grand Prix. That means in all our races that we have had, across all seasons, across all 9 seasons so far, here in Season 10, it's yet another different race winner we can lodge into the book. Of course, we've had Baraki, Tim McMardock, Alex Gillen, Rasin Chai. That's 4. The 5th one was Tom 97, the 6th being GB 68. So 6 make that 7 in our last 10 appearances here at Spa. It has led to yet another different victor here at the Francorchamps circuit, and it will be Lolinova, Italian glory here in Belgium.
It was. It was great stuff. I mean, it was looking like we had momentums from one side to another. It looked like you had the medium tyres of the Mercedes runners trying to make their way through. That didn't happen. We had as well the hard tyres of the Haases. The Haases, terrible. They looked like they had the momentum right towards the end, but it didn't quite work out. But for Lolinova and for Tim McMardock, their strategy to take the hard tyres 30 laps was an inspired one, and it's meant it's a top 2 finish for them both. Lolinova starting in P19, Tim McMardock starting in P17, and looking at it, Rasin Chai, really decent race from him, 5th place as it stood.
Yeah, remarkable performance, and I've got to say it was a pleasure to watch. The strategies was certainly unfolded. I'd imagine if you're Alex Gillen right now, you're probably a little bit peeved that you probably didn't switch when you should have done. Obviously, not a great day for either of our championship leaders this time around. Both Alex Gillen and, of course, Karim 70 has put them kind of on the back foot. But at the end of the day, fantastic race. Tom, it was a pleasure to watch.
It was indeed, wasn't it? And a winner that I don't think we expected, especially in the last few laps. I think Tim McMardock in particular will be disappointed with how that panned out on the last lap. I think Lolly was helped definitely by the slipstream that he got from those couple of cars. Do I think it would have changed anything? Ben didn't turn his overtake on until he came up the hill through Rouge and Radion. Then obviously he got attacked by GB. That lost him a little bit more time. So I think it will be a case of, on another day, Ben probably would have taken that on the last lap, considering he had a lot of ERS saved up and was in a very, very solid position. But Lolinova, from where he's been so far this season, he's got a best result of P5, but only finished inside the top 10 on one other occasion. This will mean a lot to him, considering he was in such good form at the end of the last game, hasn't transferred it into this game so far, has struggled for consistency and a little bit of pace at times. I think that will mean an awful lot to him. What we are going to do is, well, we're going to bring GB in straight away. 3rd place for you, GB. Congratulations for you. It felt like a race that was sort of there or thereabouts, and then the last stint in particular just kicked into life.
Yeah, the pace was really good. Dragged the tractor up to the podium, so pretty happy with that. Well, you guys wouldn't have seen, but I had like PC crashing issues and stuff midway through the race, and it put me. I think it was when I was supposed to be ahead of Alex in P7, and I was P20 or P19. So I said to my chat, if we come back from this, like top 7 or whatever, I'll be buzzing. And in the end, to be honest, if this was a league, I'd have finished P2 because Ben kept the position by literally cutting the circuit at the end. But yeah, it was crazy. GG to Lolly as well, because great to see him win today. And yeah, what did you guys think of the wildcard? From commentary side, what did you guys think?
I thought it was brilliant, to be honest with you. I enjoyed it. I thought it was fantastic, to be honest, GB. And it was a fantastic race. To be honest, I tipped you for the win towards the back end because you were on the better tyres, largely. Yeah. You had 10 laps fresher tyres than those that were in front. Better than Lolly, better than, of course, Tiamat Marduk as well. There were a few discrepancies I saw. Bad day at the office for Alex Gillen, obviously making a serious misjudgment, I think, on the last safety car, not coming in when he should have done. But yeah, unbelievable.
I think, and also as well, if it's not evident for you guys and for the viewers watching, you saw how quickly I caught that front pack on, as you said, 10-lap fresher tyres. I dropped Tom 97 from DRS, and as soon as I got to Razin, everyone bunched up again, because Dirty Air, even at Spa and Sector 2, was huge. So ultimately, that obviously nerfed me and meant I couldn't go for that win in the end, which I thought I could do as well. You know, once it got to the back of Razin, I knew it'd be quite hard to overtake him. But I think he just made a mistake at bus stop. And once I got through, I was kind of like, this could be, maybe. But it's just Dirty Air is just so strong, man. Like, you have to be so smart with your battery placement and hope that someone makes a small mistake, because otherwise, even at Spa, it's quite difficult to overtake.
I mean, it definitely looked like it, but you had to do some overtake. You had to get your elbows out at times with that move against Razin, trying to get past Ben on the last lap, even though it didn't quite go how you would have wanted. Just on the situation of the championship, obviously Kareem and Alex both had difficult races. You bounced back yourself after last week, came into Bahrain with back-to-back wins, had a difficult one, but some very decent damage limitation to come in here with another podium. You must feel like that's a nice bit of a response after last week.
Yeah, I guess so. I kind of put last week out of my mind just because, like, it was just unlucky. Like, the damage I had at the time, we obviously didn't have a safety car the whole race, so nothing I could do about it. And that race I went last to P6, so I was actually pretty pleased. Yeah, I mean, I guess in hindsight, you said it with Karim and Alex. Alex didn't DNF, P10, right? Karim DNF'd. Don't know what that does to the championship, but obviously a pretty good day for myself. No complaints there.
And just on the Haas in general, obviously you said that it was a tractor that you dragged up to P3. How was it feeling? How much worse was it than the equal cars that we normally drive? How much of a boat was it?
I undeafened at one point in the driver's VC. I loved it. There was all sorts of copium going on about whose car's slowest on the straight and blah 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 blah. It was great. I didn't. It seemed okay on the straights. Obviously, we were all running low wings anyway, so it's kind of hard to tell sometimes with setup differences. What I will say is I was literally, when it was raining at the start, I was joking that I was driving a boat and maybe that would make me faster, because through the corners it was just, the best way I can describe it is when you turn the wheel and it almost like floats. There's just no downforce on the car. So yeah, it was really difficult to drive. But I think you saw the likes of Alex, Karim, the guys in slower cars as well, probably learning their car throughout the race and towards the end making less mistakes and being a bit more refined with it. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. And again, just touching on the wild card, I loved it. As soon as it was announced today, I was well up for it. And hopefully everyone watching did too.
Beautiful to hear. And just finally, on next week, if you are here, of course, Hungarian Grand Prix. You would imagine with the way that this game works, overtaking is going to be even harder than it normally is. What can you expect, or what can we expect from the race in 7 days' time?
Say something nice. Love Hungary. Great track. Racing will be amazing. And Dirty Air is definitely not strong. So let's see. You know what? We know there's a wild card next week, right? Because it's announced on the calendar. So I will cross toes, fingers, everything that we get a good wild card, because, I mean, I know other viewers would have watched Iron Man and other leagues going on as well that may have raced at Hungary, and it doesn't look great at the moment, but I've got faith in Creator Series to deliver a good race regardless.
Well, thank you for joining us, GB. Congratulations on another podium this season, continuing that championship charge, and hopefully see you in 7 days' time.
Cheers, guys. See you next week.
Thank you, GB. And I think with no Tiamat Marduk, we're going to jump straight in if Lolly manages to undeafen if he realises that he's been dragged in. Lolly, I can shout as much as I want. He can't hear us because he's deafened on Discord. So we'll just wait to see if he notices, if anyone wants to ping him. It's just me on screen as well. I feel a bit lonely. Lolly, can you hear us?
Yes,
Lolly
yes,
here,
buongiorno.
Everybody.
Hello.
Delightful. Well, after qualifying, didn't get the lap in on the soft, starting down in P19. Surely, even in your wildest dreams, you wouldn't have imagined you would be coming through with your first win of the season.
No, I can't imagine, really. Thank you for the weather. Thank you for the bump in this beautiful track. I just take one like, I don't know. I take a bump. It's so crazy. But at the end, the strategy just stay on my side.
Yeah, we saw in qualifying, I saw at least going into Poo on that. It was almost like an earthquake occurred and it threw you off the circuit, and that was the lap gone. I do want to touch on the strategy though, because It looked very, very difficult, but you got the right call going from the 6 to the inters when you did it, put you into a position where you could fight for the win. How tricky was that call to make under the safety car?
Yeah, I think I prefer to just box because my beautiful engineer, hi Alex, just say to in 5 minutes the rain go away. So I just put the medium because for the safety.
On the season as a whole, obviously it's not, I imagine, gone as you would have expected or would have wanted. End of last game, you're absolutely rapid, one of the quickest drivers out there. Hasn't really gone to plan. How much confidence, though, can you gain from getting a victory like this and try and set yourself up for a really successful back end of the season?
I need to improve my confidence, bro. I really need to gain confidence. I'm so slow, I think. But we need to train to Hungary.
You weren't that slow today, my friend. I can tell you that one for free. Congratulations on the victory, third in your Creator Series career, and hopefully that is the confidence boost that you say you need to propel you back towards the places that we were seeing at the end of F1 24.
Yeah, I hope I can get on the podium next time.
Thank you very much, Ollie, for talking to us. Pleasure as always. And for Hungary next week, we wish you the best of luck and hopefully we'll see you there.
Yeah, thank you so much. Grazie mille.
Cheers, Lolly. Well, that's a fun one, isn't it? Lolinoba back where he belongs, I think, right at the sharp end of the Creator Series field. No team at Marduk, which is a little bit disappointing. Would have been nice if we could have a bit of a chin wag with Ben just to see what he was thinking. But since he hasn't come in, I will ask you both about Ben's race today. What did you make of it? Were you impressed by the pace he showed? Obviously didn't quite manage to get over the line in the end due to some external issues and then had a battle with GB going into Lake On. But George, do you think Ben, after what we saw last week as well, is very much back in the fray right at the front?
Yeah, no question. I think he did really, really well. I think first and foremost to manage the tyres and the situation he was in, I think ultimately, because, largely it was truly against the grain, really, from Lolinoba and Team Marduk's part to take the win right at the very end, because obviously, at the end of the day, they had 10-lap older tyres than the two Hasses behind of GB. And of course, not to mention Tom 97 as well, who's got a highly well-known reputation to be a very fast driver. Credit where credit's due. Obviously, GB feeling as well that Tim Marduk defended it rather perhaps overzealously, cut a lot of the chicane coming up through Lake On, which arguably would have probably gone back into the palms of GB come the checkered flag. But hey, listen, it was great towards the end. Great to see once again strategy disparity coming into the play with some working for others, some not working for others. A few red herrings though and a few errors there. Rare mistake from Alex Gillen on the strategy part, which I think really raised heads. And obviously it was a bad day at the office for Karim as well. Wasn't a great day for our championship leaders as a whole. I think Team Marduk's got a great opportunity whilst others drop points. It means the gap now gets a lot closer. We've got quite a few cars now that are over a century in points. And I want to say as well, credit to once more Lolinoba. That means now we've had in all our occasions of racing, I think that's 7 different winners in the last 7 races, I think, in total that we have had here at Spa ever since we first began the Creator Series. So that is one incredible record that we've maintained here tonight.
A microcosm of F1 2012, and that is a lot of fun, isn't it? A great stat. Kieran, just touching on what George said about the championship there, Kareem had a difficult one, picked up damage under the safety car. Alex just seemed to be on the wrong side of the decisions he made, got caught up in a little bit of traffic as well. Going into the final 4 rounds we've obviously got a sprint in the Mystery Grand Prix in the last race of the season, so technically 5 races to go. Does this really change the complexion of things? Kareem has dropped down a couple of places. GB is now the closest challenger to Alex in the standings. How much confidence do you think he'll gain from that, knowing that he is now the lead chaser after Alex has had his worst weekend of the season?
First off, for Alex Gillen to have his worst race of the season and just finish outside the top 10, previously I think it was in the top 5 for every single race so far this season, because we put him in a Sauber. I think he will be disappointed he didn't get points. I think you're right. We had the 3 safety cars and it came down to the last safety car making the final decision. He also had that incident with Tom going in towards Brussels. We'll see what happens with that. But in any case, not the weekend he would have wanted. And if he is said himself that he's missing at least 1 round, how much of a boost is that to GB? Managed to finish on the podium today, and as you say, managed to whittle down that gap by 15 points at least. That's not taking the sprint into account, because we know Gillen scored 2 points in the sprint earlier on tonight. So there's at least double figures of points being sized down in that gap in the lead. So maybe Gillen's looking over one shoulder, knowing he's missing a round, at least one round. But we'll see. I mean, yeah, great day at the office for GB. In fairness, a good day for Razin. I think he was up for the podiums, but it was just the late momentum that GB and Tom 97 had on those hard tyres, on those 10-lap fresher hard tyres, that they were able to make the moves. And we saw a mistake from Razin into the final chicane. That opened up the door for GB, and eventually it also opened up the door for Tom 97. So perhaps Razin is thinking maybe that's, a few handful of points lost in that moment. But all it does is it just Constantinas up the championship once again, and that's what we want going into the final few rounds of the season. We want the championship to be close, and we want the racing to be even closer. We saw some great stuff up and down the field all throughout tonight. So if you wanted to see racing, it's absolutely fantastic. If you wanted to see a championship battle really get heated up, this was today.
I think you make a great point about Razin there as well. He made all the right strategy decisions, but just couldn't quite piece it together to even finish on the podium. Let's have a look at the standings, though, because they have been updated. Just give us a better picture of what we are going into with 4 rounds to go. Alex Gillen's lead is now down to just 18 points, ahead of GB68. Both of them, we believe, will be missing a race at some point, potentially more, but I think it should just be the one race. Razin, decent haul of points, still in there, 3rd place in the standings, has a bit of a buffer to make up, but if he's here for all the last 4 races, he is certainly in contention. As is Kareem 7T, has gone, well, a DNF a couple of weeks ago, then a win, and now he's had another non-point scoring round. So just struggling for consistency, which is what we saw a little bit last season from Kareem 7T. A further 20 points then back to Tim McMardock, who jumps up into P5 ahead of Kai. 6 drivers now in 3 figures. Looking at the standings and how they've developed, Kieran, who are you looking at as a potential dark horse? Is it just this top 4 still after what we've seen in Spa?
I still think Tim McMardock and Formula Kai could be up there. Formula Kai finished 6th today in that Williams. He had a great day today. Could have been challenging for that win. He had the lead as well for good proportions of this race. Led whilst it was raining, and then it just came to that decision of running the slick tyres early when in that safety car whilst the rain was still falling. That made the wrong choice, but there were still 2 other safety cars to get him back up into the field and get him up there. But still, 6th place for him, just finishing behind Razin. That's no bad result whatsoever. I still think he could be an outside chance, but we saw a great race from Tim McMardock as well. 2nd place, okay, we had the cars, in realistic. We put Tim McMardock in the Williams. He managed to finish in 2nd place, but I mean, you get the points you get. And he got a massive haul of points this weekend, so I think he'll be going back very happy with that. He's within 25 of Karim as well, so he could be one up there. But the driver in form right now, GB68, I mean, he's going to be one to watch going towards the end of this season. Alex Gillen, if there are no other wildcards, should be back in the equal cars at some point as well next week. But it's good to see that GB68 is banging the form.
100%. It just keeps everyone very, very much interested. Constructors-wise, it's still ever so close between the top 4. The only change in that lead battle, Aston Martin jumping ahead of Alpine with Tom Biener, not scoring too many points for the Enstone team. Red Bull with 3 points over McLaren. Difficult race for both McLaren cars. Alex Gillen and Nick Flies further down the order, but they were helped by the fact that Gwatz was a little bit up and down, just got called up by the penalty and shuffled down later on in the Grand Prix, and Kareem 7T just getting that penalty, getting a 10-second penalty as well for the contact, basically ruined his race. Aston Martin, though, just quietly moving on up there. Good race for GB, like we said. Underrated drive from Dak Govins as well, and he picked up a decent haul of points in the sprint if he didn't get the 10-second penalty. So signs that Vince is just starting to spring back into life.
Yeah, I'd say so. I have no doubt about that. I think, to be honest, there's many drivers that are now starting to spring back into life, and I want to agree with what Kieran said. I think GB's in a great position to win his first championship right now, and I would largely place him as the main danger man. I like what I saw today. Could have arguably perhaps been a little bit more clinical. There's obviously other drivers to watch out for as well, making late charges. That guy Vince picking up some good points. He'll be ruining the day, I think, based off the back of what happened in the sprint. Could have very easily landed him a sprint victory, and it would have meant that I got my prediction right as well, instead of it all coming apart around the final corner. But yeah, no, largely today was fantastic. Lots of variance in strategy, which we love. I think ultimately the race racing was great. A few harem-scarum moments, but what's not to love in the Creator Series? And it looks like that Alex Gillen definitely took our stat a little bit too seriously today, saying that if you did win at Spa, you weren't going to win the championship. So, you know, he's definitely taken our advice, I think.
Absolutely. Let's finish off. Firstly, driver of the day. A lot of candidates. Kieran, I'll start with you. Who would you give the coveted award to this evening?
You know how it's really boring when the driver of the day goes to the race winner? Well, that's exactly who I'm giving it to. Lolinoba, the Italian stallion, is my driver of the day. I mean, yes, in a Ferrari. I don't care, because for Lolinoba to get from P19 and make those strategy calls and make 30-lap-old hard tyres work, phenomenal drive for him. He defended from Tim McMurdoch for a long portion of that race. I think he'd be absolutely ecstatic with that race victory, so I'm going to put forward Lolinoba.
I think I would probably say the same thing. So, George, it's up to you to try and prove that commentators aren't boring.
No, I'm going to go with Benjamin Daly. I think Tim McMurdoch put on a really good display, starting from where he did. Remember, his only time was set on the intermediates during the course of the qualifying session, so didn't actually get a clean run on the soft tyre. So really had to fight his way through the field from the back end of the grid, eventually finishing where he did on the podium. I think that is absolutely fantastic, and it's thrown him right in the championship hunt as well on 105. Both he and GB, I think, are going to be threats to Alex Gillen come the end of the season, so it's anybody's game.
I think it's a credit to Tim McMurdoch as well, considering this was his first podium since round number 1. The fact that he's still in with a chance of picking up this championship despite all the problems that Ben's had throughout this season, I think that's absolutely incredible, and a testament to the consistency he can pull out despite not necessarily having the outright pace at this stage of the game cycle compared to the likes of Kareem or Alex Gillen. But that just about finishes round number 8. Yes, round number 8 of Season X of the F1 Creator Series, EA Sports F1 Creator Series. First of all, make sure you check out Sim Racing Setups. Link is there. If you head over to the website as well, there'll be a link over there. Use the code CS at checkout. Get yourself a lovely 10% discount. And if you want to try and match some of the Creator Series drivers, they are using the setups. You can test your mettle against all of them. And our lovely commentators, the duo alongside me.
Very soon, but we've got a summer break in between. I'm going to be away in a fortnight's time for Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine at Imola, so make sure you stay tuned to that. We've got a big championship fight with young Freddie Slater and Matteo De Parlo at the moment. Slater, of course, highly touted as a future Formula One star, and I highly believe it. He's obviously broken every record that Andrea Kimi Antonelli has put in an Italian F4, as well as Dennis Hauger as well. So if you're waiting for the next great British Formula One driver, I don't think he's going to be too far away. Keep your eyes peeled out for Freddie Slater, folks, who's obviously racing in Formula 3 this weekend at Spa-Francorchamps at the moment. But yeah, if you want to find me, you're more than welcome to. I've got plenty of stuff going on elsewhere as well, at George Morgan TV on Twitter, Instagram and TikTok. It's been a pleasure to see you again, everybody. Great to be back on the EA Sports F1 Creator Series.
Oh, great to have you back. Great to have both of you back as well. Shout out Gareth Allen, has dealt with a couple of things in the background, but as always, the smoothest of Creator Series broadcasts. Shout out to Sim Racing Setups as well. Make sure you check them out. But until next week, been a pleasure. As always, it is the Hungarian Grand Prix, but there is a wildcard that might just spice a couple of things up. Lolinoba returning to the top step in Spa. Will we see something similar in Hungary in 7 days' time? Thank you ever so much for watching. Until next time, it is goodbye.